city. Not to mention the joys of seeing your favorite players going head-to-head here to see who can be crowned King of the Year and who's going to lift that trophy. Also, you can check out the new update here, Maxman 3. Tier is available now, and the Ice Age is calling you. You guys can go and command the frozen battleground with ancient creatures like the mammoth and saber-tooth tiger. The flames of Icefield rekindle right here, right now. We gotta get some games in on this, guys.
Yes. I played it yesterday, and we were so close, Jason, to beating it, but Niptura got knocked and got sent out of the cave, and we couldn't beat it for like 5 seconds. So blame Niptura, it's her fault.
Hey, well, first of all, I'm surprised she showed up to play. But second of all, I'm surprised you didn't pick her up and slam her down to the ground to finish her off.
I
Hopefully she's here watching.
The dragon got there first.
My fault on not streaming and shit.
And then I imagine like DK's like, you guys are fighting a dragon?
He was not even in the cave. He was not there, Jason.
Exactly. So he was in the squad or not? I don't know. That seems to be typical style.
I wasn't having a
But
good
let's
one,
kind of focus in on what's coming today. All right, some teams to focus. I'll start up with mine. I went with Falcons I8 just because there are 2 teams coming into this. It's kind of like the CSA Hope, though it seems like Major Pride might be the CSA Hope going forward. And then of course 4MV, their last day of play. They did make a roster swap. Arrow has come into the roster here for this day. It's a risky time to do it, but I kind of respect the choice to make it happen here. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to change, right? So a roster swap is a drastic one. I would have just said, hey, secondary location, maybe? I mean, I think that could have been a good one. But you know what? Sometimes you got to make bigger changes. I picked a couple of teams, and one of them's going to be I8 because I heard the same thing Maxman did, that I8 said, you know what? We're not going to go for this hot drop. We don't want to even mess with 4MV. We're going up to Saberni. And another big drop location change is from Team Gessel. Guess where they're going? They're headed to Pachiki, baby. That's right. It is wide open for them here. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
And Max, you had IWNRX, Regnum Karya, bruh, and I8 as well.
Yeah, that's how we call them. Regnum Karya, bruh. Esport. Regnum Karya, bruh, I mentioned it multiple times. I still believe they're one of the most improved team that have shown the most potential as time went forward here in PMGC, currently standing in 4th position very comfortably. And as we said, right, Group Green, this is going to be their last day, Jason. With the 2 wins they got yesterday, I think they can maintain a kind of momentum. I think they're going to be very comfortable going into the last chance, but after that, top 6, it's going to be a rough one.
This is going to be a rough day for any team out there, any fan as well. Not to mention rough for 7, who's got to find a player to interview that is about his same height, which is no easy feat. Let's head down to him on the stage.
I had to get a quick interview, and I have none other than Top from Team Falcons and Doc from 4MV. Let's start off with you, Top. Miramar was the big turnaround for you guys in regards to group stages. What else have you guys been working on since group stage from Group Red?
Хэсгийн тоглолт дээр нь Miramar нь их чухал нөлөө үзүүлдэг байсан. Тэрнээс хойш одоо юун дээр ажиллаж байгаа вэ?
За улаан группийн тоглолтод ерөнхийдөө яг Miramar дээр оноо авч чадахгүйсэн. Zohnny авсан ирнэ дайна авахгүйсэн. Тэгээд одоо яг дайн дээр ажилласан. Тэгээд дайна аваад тоглоно да.
For that, we haven't been able to play well in that situation in Miramar. Even we took care of the zone fighting, we now like still need to focus on the fighting more later.
Right on. Thank you. Now with Doc, you guys struggled yesterday in regards to being able to get those eliminations, and you usually tend to be a little bit too far from the team at times. What are we going to be seeing from you? Are we going to be able to see an adjustment to you being closer to the team? And also, what kind of style are we going to be seeing from 4MB? Is it going to be more aggressive, or are you guys going to be adopt to be a little bit more tactical?
Өчигдөр бол жоохон хэцүү өдөр байсан. Тэгээд өнөөдөр бид нэр та нараас юу харах вэ? Чи одоо багийнхантайгаа илүү ойрхон тоглох уу? Хана багийнхан илүү агрессив байх уу? Эсвэл арай тактиктэй үзэх үү?
Ер нь өчигдрийн үед ер нь тест маягаар тоглосон. Яг тэгж өөрсдийнхөө одоо нэг тактикийн юмар ерөөсөө тоглоогүй. Гэхдээ одоо яг агрессив одоо тоглох уу, тактикаар тоглох уу гэдэг нь тухайн үе одоо нөхцөл байдлаас хамаарч ер нь тоглосон да.
For us, yesterday was like testing, so we wasn't able to show our like true performance as we wanted to. But for now, for today, we will try to make a decision like just depending on that situation. So I can't say it's gonna be aggressive or it's gonna be tactical.
Okay, so a bit more of an adult approach. Thank you so much, Doc. Thanks so much, Top. Back to you guys.
Chat, I'm back.
Man, it
Chat,
is crazy
also,
seeing
we are
Top and Dog next to each other. Like it is like the two legends of CSA
watch hours
standing
away
side by side. I would love to see them on a team one day if that's ever possible. But I mean, hearing
once we hit that
looking at Doc
3,000
and just the body language, he looks locked in. He looks like ready to pull off another 22 elimination game. To be honest, like he is ready to put his team on his back and be like, guys, I'm gonna drag us into last chance. Or I'm gonna die trying.
I mean, my man's been MVP of PMGCs before. Like, we know what this guy can bring to the table, Jason. And I think that you got so many players that have had some team changes to some extent, like Silas too, right, that have achieved greatness in the past and want to get back to those glory days here this time around in PMGC 2024. They want to go to London, win the trophy, go the entire way. But again, we've said it right. Survival stage, last chance is the group of death. So even teams like maybe 4MV and Falcons, if they falter, if they struggle, they might not be able to make it. So they need to go extra hard today to get those points on board, Jason.
You know, Jukes, not to like heavily focus on 4MV, but I think for 4MV in particular, it's kind of, I'm not trying to throw this out into the ether to potentially make it happen, but in my head, if they don't make it to the grand finals, this could be the last time we see this iteration of 4MV together. Now, this isn't based off any rumors, but in my head, I'm like, there's got to be some changes. Like, to not make it to PMGC when you've won both seasons of CSA, that's I think it'd be unacceptable in their eyes.
I mean, I would normally like be contrarian to that opinion, but especially considering that they're doing a roster swap mid like major part of this tournament, then absolutely, yeah. Like I could totally see that happening. So I mean, 4MV, they need to make some magic happen, and it's gonna be so difficult considering that they're going up against a different lobby. So they're having basically no warm up in this. Every single zone is going to shooting range, but who cares, dude? Why did that player from Void Donkey have nails on his thumbs? That's the only question I have. What was that?
You don't have nails on your thumbs?
No.
You have no nails on your thumbs?
I've only seen one other pro player do that at a tournament, and that was like a long time ago. I need answers.
It's just to highlight how anti-scratching the screen is of the Infinix GT20 Pro. No, cannot be scratched. It is too powerful. Okay, like diamonds. Yes.
I just wonder if he's using it like an anchor or something to kind of help him control recoil. I want answers. If Seven, if you're listening, give us answers, please. I must know.
Just gonna say, Max, diamonds are like the
new meta
sharpest object in existence on Earth. Yeah. So if the Infinix GT20 Pro can sustain that, that's impressive. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, like the screen is made of diamond, but yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, gotta shine bright like a diamond. We know what pressure can do. It turns you into diamonds. But you know what? We have Sandhawk coming up.
GT20 Pro.
Yeah, we do have Sandhawk coming up here. D+, they won it yesterday. They got themselves 12 eliminations as well. Part of the reason they ended up getting up to second place in our overall leaderboards, which I don't believe we checked in on at the top of the show. So right now, D Xavier sitting in first, going to be sitting out. D+ going to be the current leader at the moment, with RCB currently hot on their heels at 50 points with a 7-point difference. But it's time to head into the first match for Group Red and the start to the end here for Group Green as we drop in on the Sandhawk with John, Allen, and Blake.
Only 6 more matches to play for Group Green, and now we will take them around for Sandhawk for the last time that they will see over the course of their 2 days of gameplay. Match 7, it's all starting to kick off. The plane path actually cutting quite north here on our first Sandhawk of the day, our only Sandhawk of the day, in fact.
The beginning of the end for Group Green. Goodness me. The beginning to some of these teams do need to put up a bit more of a performance today to get themselves in towards that top 16. Always difficult being in Group Green, considering that you do have to kind of eyeball it. Let's put it that way. You gotta eyeball your scorings. You don't have a definitive marker, but we will know, or we might know by the end of the day, where our top 16 bubble is, depending on if there is a green team over on that 16th place.
Pretty much you gotta make top 16 to make it to last
side and
chance.
in ASIA and Void Donkey ID both got to be clashing
this
over
is
on this
survival
north side.
stage,
We thought we might see
and
some
then you go over
adjustments, but
some
it's
top
not
16 to
be assuaged over on that north side. ASIA will take the fight to Void Donkey.
top 6 make it
and vice
into
versa
grand
as well.
finals.
maybe there's a world in which they can extract themselves from this situation for both of these squads. But we'll have to wait for the circle to decide where it's going. We haven't quite seen it just yet. And there's the light up down the sidelines there. ASIA draw first blood on the north side.
Donkey, it was something to be expected that ASIA would not give up this drop spot, and why wouldn't they? ASIA like to go where they go, and they always go there no matter what. So for ASIA, good start. They managed to get themselves a knock over towards Vexy, who is currently one of the highest damage proponents of Donkey, but Potato follows up fantastically and will find 2 of those E-limbs for Donkey, leaving ASIA at a sad 2-player margin so far. So great start for Donkey.
There's only 2 more players to handle. One of their players is knocked, sure, but that is enveloped fully by Donkey ID. Falak as well, low, has to fall back this early in the game. You don't have too many meds pre-looting phase, so do need to be very, very careful going for those peaks. It's a lot more risky in those situations. You diminish your strength there, and it is difficult to get it back topped up. You can see they've read into that. A run out, a retreat here for ASIA necessary, and they get away from Donkey ID for the time being.
Do not stick around here. Not really worth your time. Settle themselves all the way over towards the eastern side of Hatsin. This is a very nice building to play. Actually has a lot of sight lines looking out towards the rest of Hatsin here, so Uzum will be able to hold that angle nicely. Falak will be heading out, potentially looking for a vehicle here to regroup with his buddy SIA, but already I think this game is somewhat done by SIA off the back of that hot drop. I honestly, you see, this is the thing, is where ASA probably were assuming that Donkey would leave, but we know from watching Donkey these past couple of weeks that this is a team that has improved drastically over those weeks. So I think it's a team that no longer is a case of we'll step aside for another squad. They're happy to fight it out. It was unfortunately lost Vexy to start off with because he was such a critical part of the team over in their group stage, but nice to see some of the other players stepping up alongside him around Donkey to make that one happen. And at 28 points, now 30, they're looking fairly decent.
I think the bigger hit to ASI8 here may be to confidence going into the next map, because we know that it's not unlikely that there is that military island hot drop, right? With 4MV so convinced that they should be going for it. ASI8, the same attitude we heard from their coach, from their team. They've definitely made that statement that they're not going to leave. So if they are going to go for that hot drop, they've just lost one pretty nastily on Sandhawk as well. Is that going to affect their confidence moving into this next game hot drop? They still have 77 to handle, and there's completely no idea from Magnum that they've got players to worry about. He goes down, gets sprayed out immediately too. 77 will be aware of this now, but they've already lost that player on the north side.
Yeah, it's frustrating losing a player like that, because you absolutely don't assume that a team has made this rollout just yet. It's good shots from the sidelines though from Zadira. Looks over towards Falak next, and there should be a regroup coming through from Limbo Boom to attempt to shut this one down. Smokes are going out. Falak, I don't imagine he's got a helmet or vest just yet, so he's likely going to be very weak. Just the level 1 vest, and that will be a nade to finish the job. Fantastic stuff from 77, get themselves 2 more eliminations, but unlucky that they will lose one. But easily enough played on as just 3 players going forward.
Yeah, the circle on this west side hasn't fully committed to that southwest island, but it is the most likely area for this map to finish, which means that areas around Tambang, around Ruins, going to be highly valuable. So for 77, losing that player, playing on with 3, it's going to be a little bit harder to probably go for that crossing if they don't move fast, because Falcons are starting to move across that river towards past boot camp. IWNRX are now pushing in from the east side of Hainan. This area is going to start to fill up, and that's going to make it harder to navigate. And with reduced sight lines, it's just going to make it worse from that north side. It's difficult, but we've seen an elimination focus in this lobby, and maybe that's what they'll shift towards now.
It's actually quite... funnily enough, it's quite open right down towards the southeast side. That's mainly because we do have FaZe, 4MV, Team Queso, the Vicious, all in position, as you were saying earlier. Getso Roy, D plus Kia, all moving in from the eastern edge with Team Liquid still ahead of them. But yeah, mainly open areas to move through. And I think that's because 77, ASIA, and Donkey all have just been crowded up towards this north side. No one's been really making too many movements. This is a very, very quick crossing from a lot of teams, and it's not usually this easy basically to get down towards the southwest side.
Vicious. We're going to hold off Team Liquid. One spray down and a second as well. Bronozin doesn't even dip below the first aid mark there, and that's 2 players down. Team Liquid not going to be able to pick that back up. A lovely little ambush there for the Vicious. Adding 2 points to their tally and taking Team Liquid down a notch.
I think that you are at fault for doing that, though, right? You're rocking up towards a watchtower, and there's no smokes over towards it. There's no nades in preemption either. Like, you could say that Team Liquid was asking to get rolled down there, honestly, on the spray. Like, it was a linear approach as well, John, directly forward, no zigzagging, no coming in from the sidelines, where it was just easy to line up those shots with the M4. And because the 2 other players were inside a vehicle, there was no backstop holding off that angle. Yeah, in my opinion, it's just a bad play from Team Liquid. I'm not sure exactly what they were thinking. Even if it's a case of we're going to assume 70% of the time that watchtower is going to be open, you still want to account for the other 30%, right?
Yeah, I mean, on that 30% time, you're losing 2 of those players immediately. Bad. So it's, you put, what, 30% on 2? So on average, you lose 0.6 players every time you make that move, which is pretty awful on that one. We're looking at 2 Botates here. RCB actually left from Cow, and Voindonkey followed later behind from Hartin. So a wide sweep as the circle shrinks up towards Ruins.
RCB a little bit quicker in their approach in the boat here. Always a tough one. I think a lot of players are becoming more and more aware of this crossing over towards the west, but RCB do make it in and are up towards the slopes here. A little bit of parkour required to get up, but they do make it eventually in towards Tambang. So nicely done with the guys on INS over towards their northern edge. Not doing too much about this one. And Falcons sitting pretty in Confluence compound. I have questions about Falcons, John. I really do hope that they can get into the last chance here, but I'm not too confident in them at the moment.
No, they somewhat disappointed back over in their group and didn't quite go the distance. I think quite a few of us predicted them to be one of the 3 teams going through, and it was just a pretty big letdown, I think it's safe to say. However, they did manage to get up fairly high on those tables. They qualified second from Group Red, right? But it was mostly off the back of like a few just really well-found games rather than just solid, consistent gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the big worry, right? Is that if they don't get those solid games here, where it's a much more unforgiving format, you only have 2 days to play. Like, you're not given those extra 2 days on top in the group stage where you look for those big games, which can absolutely shoot your point standings up. Because, let's put it this way, if Tiamba were in survival stage and they played out how they played in the group stage, they wouldn't be making it through. It wasn't really until that day 3 where we started to see a massive step up in performance from Tiamba. And yes, they got that one big game on day 2, but that was about it. So it's always a struggle. When you look at it that way, a team that did so damn well in their group, being a survival stage, getting completely knocked out because of just the amount of days you have to play. Yeah, it's not a great position to be in. Voindonkey down. I think 77 had eyes onto this very early on. It was a really good scout out coming through from Limbo Boom on the north side of the Northwest Island. They took shots over towards the boat. They all had to jump out. They started swimming. And Tiamba basically said, feel free, 77. Please rotate passes and acquire your elimination set.
Yeah, it was a little bit late on that Botate, and RCB, who we're on board with now, went really early for this Botate. As soon as the first circle popped, they were in that boat, they were across, they were getting around. I think they got a little bit of loot on board, so I will question like how much of a resource they were able to accrue in terms of what they can bring to the rest of the game. They may have to try and take a fight and fight through for the crates, but it's going to be maybe a little bit sparse on the ground for RCB. However, they have made landfall. They are 4 players, and they are actually closer inland than the Vicious.
Yeah, RCB didn't do badly on this. I am curious, though. What the hell happened to those eliminations for 77? Did Voindonkey all just drown out in the open?
Wait, did they not get them?
I don't think so. Currently, they're on 2 elims.
Maybe they did drown a few. I mean, If you're out on the
they would have had to drown all of them. Yeah.
Oh, wait. 77 got 2 elims earlier. You're right.
Yeah, from ASIA.
Yeah, what the hell?
They got what the hell, man? What the hell, man?
We'll get that checked out. The Falcons managing to get across nice and early. They have that confluence compound. The circle shifts to the hill to that southwest side of the compound. So maybe a transition in their future out to that area as Team Liquid lose the last 2 of their players. 4MV up to 3 elims. Okay, a good start here.
And a good start needed. Yesterday, as I was saying, you know, Doc definitely felt like a bit of a liability on the squad. A few times calling for reses, which I think that were so improbable of getting off. I like the fact that 4MV puts a lot of faith in Doc, and you can understand why, because when he's on his A game, he is truly an S tier character. But most of the time, I think they need to realize that if Doc goes down 200 meters away from the team, that's Doc's fault. And the rest of the team should not suffer for that fact and play on with 3. Because we've seen a lot of teams do a lot of good work with just 3 players, but they are investing a lot into getting back up again, which often kind of scarpers the rest of their game. I don't like.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a downer on their performances sometimes, but we'll see if they can keep 4 players alive this time around and keep Doc safe. At the moment, Doc is playing in the middle of their 4-player small split. They're sort of all within 200 meters of each other. But Baron's currently a little bit further away than he is, so he's sort of that yardstick. If you go past Baron Doc, you're not getting any dinner, all right? That's it. You're not allowed. Tiamba, they have managed to, well, they haven't quite yet managed to go for the crossing. This is what they're trying to go for now. 77 also moving in the same sort of area. I'm not sure if 77 are super aware of this position. If they are, then they're just trying to scout it out. Limbo Boom spotted. Shan immediately rips him straight out of the buggy, and that's a second sneaky pickoff on towards 77. They do need a little bit more value from this one, though, and they do find the retribution over towards Shan. Zadira picks that up.
I mean, I think it's totally reasonable. The 77 do not know Tiamba's here. They have been so quiet on this northwest side. Shan getting immediately taken down to the back of that knock as well feels pretty bad for them. Zadira now has a nade in hand, looking to cook this one up and send it down the hill towards Tiamba. Definitely hears the footsteps. That one looks fairly close towards Zadira, actually. Nade does a bit of damage back towards Tiamba. Quite a bit of damage, actually.
And in this stage as well, it's zone 4. If you go down, it's curtains for you. And there he goes. Couldn't get the first aid off in time. It's the blue zone to get the knock, and onto 77 as well. Both of these teams suffering. And I mean, it was a difficult crossing. They didn't move quite early enough. They both kind of committed for that elimination style play, but haven't found the profit for it, especially with those knocks going to the play zone. That's going to be a little bit annoying for the teams on the north.
Yeah, I'm unsure what Tiamba's game plan was there. I did not like how they played that one out. Or on the north side, like, what did they actually achieve for Tiamba? When they get 1 elim, it's about it. I think it's really tough for them to actually rotate back down again. RCB, somehow, the Vicious were able to get ahead of them and now locking them out side the zone. This is a very good rotate coming through from the Vicious, which I'm unsure how it was allowed to happen. RCB currently on 50 points. We have 77 actually overtaking them here. There is one other team ahead of them from Group Yellow, I believe.
Trying to jump up on in as high as you can on the tables. Falcons now starting to move out from their compound on this eastern side with the first elimination under the belt. They have gotten off the blocks. One of 4 teams to be able to do so far from Group Red. Tiamba swimming with their last representative and actually making it to dry land. I wonder how long that will last against the Falcons.
I honestly think for Silas at this point in time, it might actually just be a good idea to Molotov himself in-game, and just take the L. And just not give any more points across to any of the teams inside the lobby. They know they're quite far ahead, but if they get denied points, it just removes the overall intensity of the lobby that's going to be catching up to them. D Plus taking shots over towards IWNRX alongside with 4MV. IWNRX getting absolutely cut out here on Sandhawk. Their first game play in the survival stage. They had a pretty good run for themselves, but were pipped to the post just about over in the groups.
Baron still that northern flank. Doc trying to reinforce on the southern edge, but they've taken knocks and actually taken a flush over towards that edge, and Doc is also getting cut through here. Stalwart started to sweep around. D plus Kia as well. Falcons, they may have a couple of sight lines up towards the north, towards Getso Roy, so could chime into this fight between Stalwart and Getso Roy, who are both trying to push in from the north edge of 4MV, but that's knocked down in an instant. It seems like 4MV's position just got dismantled.
Oh, bless me.
Yeah, they were taking a lot of fights all over the place, right? The IWNRX taking shots down towards the western side, towards Team Queso. D Plus now rock up. That looks like a fairly decent nade, actually. Getso Roy losing another in Zuno. And that was onto Osal, so very, very well placed there from Aero. 4MV has the DBS, but a massive chunk of damage, but he's still going.
Nolbu with the shotgun around the edge, can't quite connect, has to go for the weapon swap a second. Hop out, 4MV, have they got the warrior they need? They're going to lose him on the inside, but there is an off angle. Baron is still in action, not in position to try and help out just now, though. Needs to keep his head down. Doc is down on the off angle, and D plus Kia now on a rescue mission. Stalwart in the meantime, popping over towards Getso Roy, who have managed to stay up as 4 this entire time blank. They've had a knock on the off angle, but Stalwart get out their way. The blue zone's putting pressure on, and they may not be able to get back up to 4, but keeping 3 players alive on this southeast edge may be the best result that any team is going to be able to find.
Oh, very, very nice nades coming over the top from Falcons. They know that if they even get just a knock here, it doesn't matter if they don't confirm it. The blue zone will do that for them. Incilio taking a knock there from Action. Seems pretty crazy to me, considering Incilio is right now just in ruins, just chilling. The Vicious, though, likely the best position right now to pick themselves up a chicken dinner. They're down towards that southwest side. They've got so much open space. So many teams opted to come in through from the east that it has just become a bit of a bloodbath on that side of things. Falcons rock over towards Incilio's position after getting that initial knock and might be able to work ruins off the back of this.
Fabian in the blue zone, doesn't look like he wants to move, just waiting for someone to peek him. The last first aid there, Ventores may give him an opportunity as he crosses out in the open, but I think Fabian's given up the ghost here and will be going down to the play zone, and indeed he does, which leaves us, I think, on 6 teams remaining. As we move in towards the next circle, it keeps a little bit of that ridge line that FaZe occupy in the circle, gives them that opportunity to sweep around the east side, but that will be cut off fairly soon. Incilio still in the middle of ruins, but you've got Falcons trying to push on in. It's been a tricky approach, but Incilio making it all the harder. A couple of nades still being put through.
Yeah, playing very worried at the moment, so allowing Falcons to get into this one. Information passed back from the knocked member of Falcons, and at least East is able to get back up on his feet. Fash, and she looking for something. Nade goes through, doesn't find any sort of damage. And Westron will finish off. At least one of the players there. It's mainly just information gained here coming through from the nades on the Falcons.
Action with the nades from the low ground there. Only 2 players, but the Falcons in, and Incilio looking a bit reluctant to take that fight. They may just be able to outlast a lot of the rest of the lobby here. Team Queso looking to flex out. They were on that south side for a while, Blank, and they pinpointed FaZe as a weak point, they think, on the circle. Push them back behind the ridge, but a lovely nade from Mela on the off angle opens up towards Team Queso's approach, and a crossfire established. Mela pivotal in this hold for FaZe, and there is nothing that Team Queso seemingly can do. Immediately turning around, sending their last player away as far as they can get. FaZe keep going with 3.
Yeah, we know how good Mela is. He is a real pub stomper of a player, and right now doing exactly that versus Team K. So good jump up from the Vicious, up to 6 eliminations now as David looks to see himself over towards the top side. If he was on the other side of the rock there, that would have been curtains for him. A decent nade over the top there coming through from FaZe, but it is now a 3v4 for them. And Incilio's down to 1.
Being trimmed down to 1. Yeah, absolutely. And the Falcons as 2 have handled the 3 of Incilio on the inside. So Falcons, 9 elims, 2 players alive. Blank, this is the game that they needed to revitalize themselves, their reputation, and maybe once more, the desk can be their fans.
Yeah, really, really good play there. Not easy to make that rotate, by the way, into Ruins from where they were placed. The fact they get 1 knockoff and just like, look, we have to send it. We're most likely going to go down here. We've got to do something. FaZe, you find a shot over towards Action, but it's instantly passed back there. They attempted to cross. What a dangerous crossing from the FaZe. I'm not sure how I felt about that one, and Mela is also similarly curious to how that one panned out.
The Vicious, whilst they have the numbers advantage, Blank, they're in a pretty tricky spot.
Yeah.
It's going to push them off this high ground. It goes over towards open ground. It's just that pillar that sits in the middle of it, a little bit of rock to hide behind. There's really not much to try and work with. The Falcons have the inside angle. If they spot this roll down, if they get some value out of it, that would be huge. But not getting that knock there could be crucial.
It's because they don't have enough angles to work with right now. That's the real difficulty. No nades either. East knows he needs to find a little bit more. Maybe get a nade over towards the top here. Ooh, Bruno's in.
Love it.
I don't like this angle from Bruno's in. It's so easily found as well. Now they can start to work the problem up front. Nade being primed here from Falcons.
Only the one, and over the back it goes long, goes way, way long. I kind of liked the angle from Renozin. It stopped Falcons from getting close enough, but unfortunately East had already made that breakthrough, and he wasn't quite able to get the value from it that they were looking for. East still in the fight, gets that heal off and moves around the edge in a 1 versus 2, goes for the shutdown onto 1, is going to be traded off though, and the numbers still in the favor of Vicious. 1 player down, 2 players to handle. Action on the spot with Reyes going for the cross on the slow peek out straight through, and the spray and the smoke's good. The Vicious take down the Falcons.
Oh man, that felt like such a free spray from Action. Whoever threw that initial smoke to cut off Action's position though was a real genius on the squad of the Vicious. That made it so problematic, and Action was unsure whether to hold back or move up with East. I think if he played it with East, it might have been a very different story, but a really good game from Falcons nonetheless. The Vicious have a very calm game, and I don't think the Falcons are too unhappy with that one, considering how much they were able to get done and from where they were playing.
All right, Max, calm down, calm down, calm down. I don't need to hear any screams about Falcons pulling off a massive match here. Not to mention already surpassing teams like Vampire. The Vicious close things out here, excuse me, in the first match of the day. But honestly, even though they won that game, my eyes were just glued on Falcons with that Ruins play they pulled off.
Yeah, I was really surprised at some point this game, Jason, because they sent it wide east after leaving Trifecta, and there was what, like 4, 5 teams fighting to the east, Jason? It was an insane amount of teams, and they're like, you know what? Let's just go for the easier route and push into Ruins, which can be risky at times to go for Ruins objects. I mean, playing Ruins as many times as we have, it is tough to move into it. But they cleared all of Ruins versus Incilio. 2v3 East and Action together. DBS, S12K all day, every day. And it's just what they needed to make sure they could get at least to that podium finish.
Dude, you can just tell Falcons are just ready to go here. They're firing on all cylinders. Duo versus squad. Action and East were destroying everybody. I think I saw them with, what was it, 10 eliminations between the two of them? Just beautifully, beautifully done. Of course, you gotta give some love to the Vicious, though. For the Vicious to be able to win this game to start things off, that's definitely gonna be a lot of weight off their shoulders. You can see the hype the second they won that one. And still, I will be honest, it was a little close for comfort there. I mean, we could have possibly definitely seen Falcons win that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Action, he had I believe it was a smoke he threw down that he could kind of cover off one angle towards the left-hand side so he could focus on the direction that East was actually pushing. I could be wrong, but that was my assumption from that. But yeah, I mean, with them getting that victory, they were already in 7th place at 35 points, and we're looking around like the 50, 60 points to be potentially that bubble going into our final day. And this should have been enough to actually surpass that, you know, estimated bubble for tomorrow. So I think we're going to see Vicious already make it through now into our last chance in 2 days.
It seems like it. I mean, Diminor has been a very impactful player. Hodrix, I mean, you followed their region for longer, but I'm not gonna lie, going in this tournament, Diminor, I was like, I don't really know this guy. I'm really excited to see how he's going to potentially perform. He's exceeded my expectations by a significant margin. Like, he is popping off in these matches, and especially the way they sweep some of the remaining Eastern teams was the correct approach in this game. You're going to see some of the highlights. A lot of the teams are fighting. They're down to a solo, down to a duo. they know pushing in ruins when teams still have the high ground advantage is going to be a bit of a tough call. We just got to go clearing all those Eastern teams to then have that high ground possible position and then get the intel. That was the best play they could ever pull off in that match.
I thought Falcons was going to pull that win off as a duo.
They were on that west side for such a hot minute towards the end, and they just had full sight lines on everybody. Great game for them. And, you know, they've always been that team that's just like that sneaky squad in my eyes, right? Because it's just like a team that not a ton of people are really paying attention to. They're not studying inside and out. And then all of a sudden you just look and they're in third place, you know, like just like that. So Vicious, definitely a team to contend with. And it's a squad that people got to keep a closer eye on here, because if you're not paying attention to these guys, they might just take your trophy away from you.
Yeah, and I think Vicious kind of need to be careful, because when we saw them playing in Group Green, this was a team who was like sitting top 4 for quite a long time, like at least 4th place. And then they slowly started to slip, and eventually they became the bubble for their group. So for them, having a strong start is good, but closing out being strong is the most important part in my eyes. As we do see 20 points added to their tallies, that should put them around the 55-point mark. But Falcons, I mean, 17 points. If you're a Falcons fanboy out there, that's a good sign of life in the team. And, you know, Papa Top, he obviously has been posting about that he's about to have a kid very soon. This is one way to make your kid proud, and one way to, you know, help financially with the kids if you can get yourself into the grand finals.
I'm going to school because my dad won PMGC. That's why.
But I'm getting them name brand diapers. That's how you do it.
But looking at the bottom of the rankings,
these dudes are trolls,
a clash that we have to talk about here, Hardtrix. It has to be, you know, the Voin i8 clash. We knew that was a possible drop, and yet, even though they had scrims and they were testing it out, they both committed to still dropping in Hatton. Hardtrix, like, I don't see the worth in that, but yet they committed to it. It's very odd to me.
Yeah, and it's tougher. I think it's because i8 had so much success in Sandhawks dropping there. You know, they won 2 of the Sandhawks when they were doing their group stage, and I understand it, but at the same time, like, we just talked about it so many times, just how bad hot drops are, especially at this kind of stage when you only have 2 days to go. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I think at a certain point, you just gotta just drop the ego and just go somewhere else. But, you know, at the end of the day, i8 feel like they had it, and they kept going, and they got a lot more work to do here. But yeah, look, Vicious, 3rd place. What'd I say? Whew.
You said 3rd place? On the last note for i8, though, I'm kind of surprised that they're willing to change the drop location on Erangel, but when it comes to Sandhawk, they're kind of still hot dropping. And like you're saying, 2 days of play, you're gonna have 2 of those matches be on Sandhawk. You cannot afford to have these bad games. Because you look on the list here, you see D Plus gonna be in 1st place, of course, with DXavier not playing today. Random Car, you know, a lot of these teams are gonna be falling down the leaderboard, not because they didn't perform well, but more so about because they're not playing. It's gonna be Major Pride and DXavier here on this front page.
Yeah, I actually did like the rotation coming out from Regnum Karabra. I think it was good, but then they delayed it a little bit because I believe they were trying to scout the Western Coast as much as possible, and by doing so, they only could hold the coastal
got
side
15
on the west,
points in
and they
day
couldn't go
one.
actually inland on the southern
That's
western
so
island, and that,
fucking
unfortunately, because of the
bad.
circle continuously going towards ruins, they just got
Same
caught
with
off guard by, I think it was the
Zeus,
Vicious
bro. Oh my
actually that
God.
completely shut down that rotation after they
I
reached
think
the coast.
Falcons
So
are trying to
good idea,
hop
but
up
unfortunately, the speed at which you do
hella
rotate
today,
Hardtrix is
bro.
very important, and unfortunately, because of the speed, it was just not making it possible for them to get late game.
Yeah, I think they were trying to replicate that D plus Kia strategy in Sandhawk, where you see them just kind of wait out on the edge of circle when it comes to like circle 2 to 3, and then they find out where that zone's going to go, and then they rotate on in. So I think Regnum Karia were doing exactly that, but it's not the same on a vehicle versus a boat. You know what I'm saying? It makes things a lot more tough for them. So I mean, I applaud the strategy. I mean, they have enough points to where they can try something new. So I'm not really too hard against it, but I'm really looking to see some consistency from them, especially on Erangel.
Or a Vampire 21st. Oh,
dude,
oh my God, in one game. Oh.
Team Falcons outperformed them by 8 times in one game versus their entire day.
I'm not gonna check your math. I'm gonna trust you this time because you're 1/3, 1/4 yesterday. That's the one blunder you get here, Hardtrix, on air. I do, but looking at the bubble though, it's like 15 points at the moment. Obviously, still a lot of matches left to go. It's crazy to me to see that the current bubble between getting into last chance and having to go home is just 15 points. Like that is blowing my mind, to be honest. But you guys at home, make sure you guys are voting as well. Head over to the English, Indonesian, or Turkish esports YouTube channel and make sure you type in chat who you want to see interviewed by Seven Worlds Gaming. I think he's personally hoping for someone for Voin Donkey to come in because he definitely wants to interview someone around the same hype. Not to mention Hardtrix, you want to get to the bottom of these nails.
I want to know. Like, I want to know, because who knows? It could be an insane strategy. I don't know if it's just for style points. Regardless, my mind will not rest until I have answers.
Now, this is the analysis I'm here for.
Right?
The impact of nails on your device.
I'm just kidding. Right? It's just wild. I have not seen that. I've only seen, like I said, one other player at a major tournament that did this, and that was like in 2018. You know, so to see it now, who knows? It's wild.
There's got to be some sort of reason.
Pick Voin, chat. Come on, have my back.
Max, would you pick Voin?
I actually wanted to, because I feel like we talked to 4MV and RCB recently, so I just wanted to talk to Voin because I think they could have some more interesting info on that sense. So, like, seriously, yeah, Voin is a good pick. And sure, the nails, if you... Okay, sure, Hotchie. Okay.
Well, as we do head into Erangel, we do have 3 back-to-back Erangels to happen. And we've already talked about change in drop locations. I want to just go back to that really quickly for any viewers who are just joining us, and Hot Chicks, let you kind of lead the way. I think the first talking point was I8, and of course Team Queso as well were 2 of the teams we were looking at.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I8 are going to be giving up the good old Sosnovka military drop, and they're going to go ahead and head up to Severny, from what I understand. So yeah, they're going to make that big change. And when it comes to Team Kessel, because of the way that this group is set up, they're getting Pachinki for free, right? Now, we saw Major Pride. They took advantage of being able to take Farm because that was wide open, and they did great yesterday. So I'm hoping that we're going to see something similar from Team Kessel.
Actually, one thing that's interesting before we go into a game, IWNRX are going to go back to the Western Bridge. So 4MV, they might not be Voin, but there's going to be IWNRX. They need to be careful once again.
Oh no, don't channel the inner Kagasaka here to punish 4MV on those rotates if you're a 4MV fan. We're about to drop into our first Erangel 3 of the day. So let's head it back to our casters of John Allen and Blank once again.
Let's see if the Falcons can do it again. They need to try and convert off the gain that they were able to sneak in for a second place. Can the Vicious keep up the pace as well? Match 8, and we're going to Erangel.
There we are, John, back at it again here on our favorite map, obviously. Falcons been able to put up quite a good amount of points. Our last game was very nice to see. Difficult rotate in my opinion, but more so towards the end of the game. I think you were talking about this before, is that honestly from Confluence Compound it wasn't too difficult, but still taking that 2v4 versus Incilio was very, very nice, to say the least. Some other teams inside the lobby did have a bit more of a tough time. 77, who was, I guess, robbed of their 4 elims onto the boys on Voin Donkey. I'm not sure how that happened, but that would have actually stymied their game there, despite them having a little bit of a horrible approach on that north side, basically because Tiamba decided they just didn't want to rotate. I think 77 could have got further into that game if it was a case of Tiamba being like, we should move south, no?
Yeah, just move on south and see if that works on out. But there was no contest from that north side, right?
We're just gonna sit on the northwest the whole game.
We're good here, right? I mean, 77 should have got so much more value from that, but they didn't get those elims from Voin Donkey, which is unfortunate. They could have been up a lot higher on that points gain. And in general, what we saw yesterday was a more bloodthirsty approach to this, right? Because if you're getting 4, 5, 6 elims in a game, that's a good result. Top 16 is the goal here to move forward to the last chance stage. Obviously, if you can get more, you want more, but you'll take it. And it's the only way to stay in this tournament is to reach that top 16. Something that we haven't talked about yet about this game, Blank, is that ASIA have given up on the military base drop here. 4MV will be the sole proprietors down on that South Island.
Yeah, I think the boys on the desk were talking about this earlier on today, just saying that ASIA were more than likely going to drop over towards Severny. I think that was something they discussed. And I think that's the right move. That is the right move here. I don't think I'd want to play against a volatile team like 4MV either, John. So this is much easier for me. We were able to check in with Team Queso, their coach, Mia, and we'll take a listen in right now.
Welcome back to a quick interview with the 7WG. This time, I'm joined by none other than the coach from Team Queso, Mia. Mia, we got a chance to talk after the group finish. We were talking about how some strategies could be changed that maybe work in Americas, but might not work so well here at PMGC. Were any of these strategies change for survival stage?
Durante las fases de grupo hablamos de que hay algunas estrategias que tal vez funcionen en América que no funcionen aquí en PMGC. ¿Han cambiado algo para esta etapa de survival?
Sí, cambiamos un poco los roles, tanto estratégicamente en peleas como en rotaciones. Hicimos por ahí unos cambios, anteriormente estábamos trabajando con Milovan y Colega de frente, y el cambio que hicimos actualmente es a Milos con Colega.
So yes, we did some changes both when it comes to strategy, rotations, also the roles of the players. We used to have Milovan and Colega in front, and now we change it, and now we're going to have Milos and Colega leading.
I'm so happy you guys made that change because Colega is the best player in that team, and I feel like he definitely needs to be able to be in the back and not just putting himself out there. So good job on that. Back to you guys.
Changing up a little bit of their positioning, rotating players on out. It's good to see that they are at least certainly trying to adapt to this lobby. They got 4 points out of that last match blank, and that's what I was saying before as well. If you can get 4, 5, 6 elims on a game, that's a good result.
Joe, can we just... Have we been saying Colgo?
Yeah, it's Colega.
Oh, no.
Or Goat, you know. A little bit of a...
I'm going to call him Colega. I think that's what I heard. I heard he's the coal goat.
Yeah, I prefer...
Goat of coals.
Hey.
You know what a coal goat can do? It can turn into diamonds.
Oh, I was just about to get there. Goodness me.
Diamond goat.
Yeah, that's right. Put him under enough pressure. He's into the diamond goat, but Brunosin's under plenty of pressure himself. Has got the backup though coming over from the hill on the north side of the compound. Spray downs on the ground floor, not connecting either way. And the Vicious and RCB extending this fight further. And Molotov finally finds one. A second knock over towards the Vicious, and they're starting to crumble, but there is still an answer. Reyes flushed away. And Kima's trying to step in through the door frame, but he's not going to be allowed on in. Them and all behind the boxes. And can RCB pick themselves back up? Not to 4. They do get to 3, but they managed to get all 4 of those points against the Vicious. It will not be a back-to-back chicken dinner this time.
4 elims, though. Very nice for RCB, especially because they're fighting directly against the Vicious, who are in 3rd place to get ahead of them. Any points you can get further into these tallies at the top side of the table. Observer's having a bit of a bad time there. Couldn't get through the window. But overall, good stuff. Happy to see it. RCB taking 4 elims. I think people really underestimate the power of the 4 elim games. All right. 4 elims is pretty good. The amount of times you see teams go out with 0, 2 points. The amount of times you've seen teams end with 3 points on their tally overall. Oh, it's wild, Joe.
It's really powerful in terms of raising that floor, and that's what I talk about quite a lot when I talk about certainly long-form tournaments, right? If you can raise the floor of your performance, it's often more valuable than raising the ceiling of your performances, because the number of times you get to the top end of your performance in a match, you know, maybe if you're really, really good, you're getting there 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7 times, right? But your floor, you're seeing that so much more frequently. So adding 1 point there is like adding 4 or 5 or 6 points to the top end of your performance. So in general, a great way to prop up your gameplay, prop up your scores in this tournament setting is to address the matches that you can make up for a drop in top level performance in the aggregate of your low level performances.
It's nice. It's really good. And I think for RCB, they'll be happy with that. They can play on us 3. They don't have a terrible position either. That's over on that north side jump. And they can rotate from there down towards the south. Fairly eastern shift on the circle, which is what we're tending to see here in the survival stage, at least. We got the Falcons rolling out. This is day 2 survival stage. So we've got 1 more day of this tomorrow. And then we do be done. Tiamba heading on the side. I think we had a lot of high hopes, but which were not set in motion. Now Shan, the lone soldier here, or Tiamba. Where is the rest of the squad? Off of the distance, Bond is trying to help, but Shan goes down first once again. Not too sure about that play. I can understand the scout out, but I think as soon as you see players go in, I genuinely think there you just make the Hail Mary and the buggy back to the rest of your team and hope that Bond can hold off the players on that off angle as a backstop, because even if Bond goes down, like, he's getting res back up. And he's getting res back up. So, yeah, I'm not sure why Shan opted to stay.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a disconnect. It's one of those things where you watch it and you sort of think, well, how did that happen? And in my mind, my headcanon, which could be completely wrong, is that Shan was forwards. He was like, guys, I've got an opening, crash, crash, crash. And they're like, no, Shan, we're not coming. Come back. And he's like, no, we got there. And then he goes down and he's like, ah, rat. Right, that's my headcanon of that.
That's probably not what he was thinking or anything like that.
There may have been other factors at play.
Especially since his back tire got
you're right.
It's
and he that same sort of style of Tiamba looking a little
Bro was trying
bit
to lead,
unsure,
but
unsteady in their approach to this lobby.
So
maybe they can find something for their later games, but in a hard north shift, that's going to make it all the harder because they are on that south side.
Bro, why is Icy up here by himself, bro? This is why he always dies first,
We are in the Yas Fields, actually. I hope this ends up in Yas Fields. We haven't seen the Yas Fields finish in some time now, and they're always fun to watch. But I imagine teams are going to be trying to situate themselves on the south side of Yas. Voin Donkey
I'm gonna go make
is
me
most
something
probable to go for that play.
Real quick, chat.
I'm curious to see if they'll take a 2-2 split. I hope they don't. I think contextually it makes sense to go for a 2-2 split, but in terms of the rest of the squads coming in from the south side, I do think they'll be trying to be very aggressive here in the survival stage and likely try and take space that they otherwise wouldn't. And you can see right there, 77 already making that move, in which case Voin Donkey needs to get a hell of a move on, in fact, up towards Yas. They head over towards the western side, settle themselves in there. Smart play, actually, and they allow 77 to sit in over towards the east.
Giving themselves access to that bridge crossing as well if they want to go for a cheeky rotate west late. I mean, it's an outside chance that they'll need it, but slightly beneficial. Team Queso also trying to move on in and up to ASIA in this huge compound on the west side of Yas Fields, right? This is a god compound in this scenario. It's got that excellent ridge that sits up towards it that you can play towards if you're a team approaching, but teams on the other side going to make that all the harder. UZM on the flex out. There's 2 players here for ASIA, and I don't know if they want to stay here for too long because Kolegot is in the right position to land these nades over to UZM. He steps back, but steps forwards away from it again. Reads the cook well. And will be able to get away from it. And this is that approach that I was talking about. You can't get up to this ridge. The off angles just start to spot you out. And ASIA are kept safe by the opposing side of their team.
And Kollega just sent back here. The rest of the squad from Team Queso, shots been sent over towards him. It's the type of Hail Mary that you want to see. Even if he does get knocked, should be able to get picked up by the rest of his team. That's what you need to see happen. But some great shots from Vexy on the Mini 14 there over towards him. We'll finish him off. ASA find nothing off the back of that one. Great shots from Vexy. That's all the way in the north side of Yaz, actually.
Nice spray down on the cross there, Vexy. Still going. All right. Okay, I see you there, Vexy.
How?
Landing those shots, plinking away here at Team Queso. ASIA also seem to have read the playbook from Shifu from yesterday's match. They are going for the aura hold, the roll around the outside, making sure that your presence is felt in every single compound nearby, not just in the spot that you hold as well. Can ASIA bring that same threatening presence to the Yas Fields as we saw over on that mansion area?
Puppy Patro in a bad position right now. Not looking too hot for himself. They do have Vex. He actually did a huge amount of work from South Yaz, though. I think he was able to get those shots through on the Mini 14. Some fantastic hits. Not only getting the knocks, though, but also getting the flushes is quite incredible. Fabian from D+, finding one over on Stalwart. Does get shot in through from the smoke, though. Just assisted by the player who was not on Stalwart, giving information of roughly where he was playing. D+ likely will lose Fabian going forward. That's Critter picking him up.
Store in a bad way. D+ Kia losing their forward player. 2 knocks over towards Stalwart. Maybe a flex out from D+ Kia wanted, but slowed down because Voin Donkey moving Potato out into the field. Goodness me, trying to plant himself down on that south side. Might be able to sprout up a few eliminations if he's lucky, but again, it's just these big aura holds, Blank. They seem to have come into fashion.
Stalwart still sitting strong for themselves, able to get ahead of Falcons. D+ slightly in front of them. Fabian attempting to hold out close, but the rest of the team just wasn't with him to make it happen. I don't think they're leaving Sanchia behind. I think they have just left one player to try and pick him up. Again, Vexy with that mini 14 doing absolute work.
The ID have transitioned out to the south side of the fields. Octogui looking to try and keep Stalwart going on this one. A fearsome competitor so far over the course of yesterday's games, able to do a lot of damage. Critter under threat here, the nade pouring on into the door. Magnum trying to find a heal and a nade cook as well. Octoguri does take a little bit of a damage, and Shifu tries to approach, but there's that off angle coming on through. Fearless keeping his teammate safe, but unfortunately there's one on the inside, and the nade from Magnum sneaks in through the window. Shifu finds the flush, and now it's up to Fearless. A 1v1 on the corner, and Magnum wins it out. No bother.
I mean, for the circle going over towards that western side, I somewhat understand why they sent out. They wanted a better position, but I think you need to have a little bit more presence there. And Shifu, instead of heading in towards the building immediately alongside with Magnum and just trying to clear out that single player or to sit on the outside, I think in those situations, you just take the 2v1. You don't want to be sat out on the outer edges where you can get shots taken at you. It's far more dangerous there with the amount of sight lines that are still in play. I think it would have been way safer to take a 2v1.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice.
Can't go back.
First, actually.
Can't go back. Try to crash back up to South Yaz and gets clipped out by the drop down from Reefer. So nice little maneuver there. Fancy feet for 4MV.
Yeah, they're looking a lot better today. I'll tell you that right now. The circle does move away from the Yaz fields, and Voin Donkey ID very happy with the fact that they made this rotation down towards the south side. It's a little bit out the way, but better than being in South Yaz at this point. A smart rotate at a good time. Cilio, Fash will take down Onzens, but I do believe that FaZe is fairly safe here, although RCB have the high ground in front of them.
Nade on in, not going to connect, but they just keep that suppression going. These two teams next door neighbors right now, and not unlikely that you see a crash from a team like ASI8, like Getso Roy, maybe even 4MV on towards this RCB position if they try and find their way on through there. Likely that both of these two teams will have to move, that they're quite close to the edge of this stage 4 circle. So we'll have to conclude this engagement at some point or other. But for now, they can stay at arm's distance.
Falcons dropping down towards the southeast. He's taking a lot of shot, actually. I'll have to back it off a little bit. This isn't the most ideal of positions, but I think they're just trying to get some kind of knock going through and be able to push a little bit further in. But Tiamba right now have good control over their position, off of the distance.
Tempo on the long-range trade back into Action's favor there and forces the high ground angle to be bumped back a little bit for Tianba. Icy flexing out to that southwest side of their current position towards IWNRX, who for now have been fairly quiet. Plank, but the compound that they hold on that south edge, a really strong spot for them. We'll see if they can start to move off the starting blocks, because they weren't able to get any points out of the last match that we saw on Sandhawk. A difficult rotation from the southeast side stopped them dead in their tracks. This time around, they want to try and put 2 games up on the board in 1.
Osal. To hold off versus 4MV. In comes the rest of the squad. They are lacking. Fabian. Nobu rolls through, tries to get a knock with the vehicle itself. Long nade, but really not much found. Nobu just trying to pass this information back through for the rest of the squad. That one would have been on target towards Aero if he'd not moved in that small amount of time between the nades.
Just trading back and forth. How many nades do you want to invest here? Seems a couple more. Nolbu moving forwards, pinging it out as the nades cook, and over the top they go. D+ Kier will be able to target these fairly well. They'll have that idea, but the off angle 4MV have sidled on over to the sidelines for D+ Kier. The flex out comes through for the last player of Team K, so Papi Potro gets close and up in towards Team Liquid's grill, but that might not go the way he expects. Does go down out in the open. A bad time for Team K, so that readjustment not working out this game.
Yeah, another one where it just goes poorly. Nades are flying over the top, a little bit short though, and this res should come through. That one's a little bit longer. There's a fair amount of damage, and they have the information on now though. But the real question is, how many more nades do Boys and 4MV in the back pocket. Nice wrap from Reefus. If he got the knock and was able to reassess the scenario, move backwards, maybe it would have been better. But yeah, this is an all-out brawl at the moment on the northeast side.
Oh, wow. It's made all the harder by that circle shift down to the southwest. IWNRX with the high ground compound now blank. This is a power position for them on the south side. They need to extract value from this game. This fight, again, needs to conclude for these two teams. They want to get away from this one as fast as possible. I wouldn't be too surprised to see this res and an immediate bug out for D+ Kia.
Yeah, it's not worth it playing on this northeast side anymore. You need to wrap around somewhere, but there's not a lot of places to go. Voin Donkey I8 do take a knock, but it's AS I8 who make their way in towards this third party. If they can clear out this area, then move back over towards the northwest, it'd be really nice for them.
Falak stands tall with the shotgun, gets rolled on from the sidelines, and Doc with the double run around, hops in and drops out, causing chaos in ASA8's ranks, and another one goes straight on through, immediately dispatching the entire crater himself. It's Doc and Aero to try and hold, and in comes D+ Kia. Doc low, Aero knocked, and out go 4MV. ASA8, they got shut down immediately, and D+ Kia stay alive. Just UZM left on ASA8, and he has to get out of there as fast as he can. Team Liquid wondering what the hell just happened over the hill.
Wait, hell of respect for Doc on the double rundown. I think that was the only thing they could have really done there. Uzum off in the distance, kind of unsure of why his team made that play. To be fair, it was the right one. It was a strong maneuver. Unfortunately, it just does not pay off in their favor at all after Doc pulls off some crazy drifts.
That is an insane little spot of combat. Loving it here on the northeast side. Brutal out the Yas Fields. RCB trying to curtail FaZe, and this is the fight I was talking about needed to conclude at some point. Seems like they found that spot. Mela up to the rock against Silas. Veteran versus Firecracker, and Silas around the edge shows him what experience can do. Not taking a lick of damage as well. Nice time on the spray down.
Yeah, really nicely played, honestly. Good bouncer coming through from Wild. Will do a little bit of damage. Ventores would have actually gone down if he stayed on the outside edge for a little bit longer. Does get the first aid kit off, and now Wild looks to finish off at least one of these players. Here's exactly where they are. A good read on the shot, but nothing found off the back of it. Still waiting for Silas to regroup alongside with him.
Two players left for RCB. Silas, I mean, he's somewhat further forwards than Wild is, and I think he's saying, you know what, Wild, you just try and win that 1v2. Good luck, Godspeed. We'll see you later in the circle if you make it. Blue zone pushed in. There's the nade up to the top. Silas more concerned about Team Liquid's maneuvers now. Hits the deck, 7 nades in pocket. Has to drop to the ground, keep that low profile. Maybe nades over to the compound, going to be more threatening, but Silas steps up with a Bison. Looks for Cardozen and clips him down. Team Liquid, though, find the Molotov on the burn. Silas needs to be careful. The roll-up from FaZe happens, finally keeping RCB down. But they get 6 elims, and it is a good game for them to put them safer and safer towards that last chance stage. Ventores with the nades over towards Team Liquid. They've been in the way for so long, but finally, maybe shunted aside.
Yeah, honestly, Silas is so resilient. It's scary, even as a solo player. It's so funny. Voin Donkey ID. What a game from them so far. Very good control, good rotates, get themselves in a central position. Considering they were in South Yaz, they really took advantage of this game and weren't happy just to sit around and do nothing off the back of it. In comes Incilio over towards FaZe.
Eagle swing around, and Mormon goes down first. Ventura's second, and Cilio here to play. 3 eliminations and a sweep out from that northwest side compound. They've left their backstop there as well in Redlick, which means they have the avenue to retreat back over there should they deem it necessary. Access that west side of the road. Could potentially be very, very valuable, but it's Voin Donkey ID to look for a late game here in a central position.
Either way, for FaZe, off the back of 2 games, getting 18 points, this is a really good result so far for them. I think they should be very proud of themselves off the back of these 2. Tiamba, QZ looking for those shots out off into the distance. IWNRX, though, starting to pop off a little bit over Tuckers. They've been very quiet on the south side, but they have a lot of control still to work with. Shifting over towards that northwest side, they can even take down Getso Roy and claim a little bit of space for themselves on the map.
Getso Roy under a lot of pressure here. The smoke's really the only thing that's keeping them safe, but IWNRX are going to have to move in under 2 minutes now. The spray downs from the off angle might clip GetSoRoy just a little bit, and it's actually Incilio to find Porsche. On the off angle there, Zedwolf. Gonna try and take some oversight, but you can hear the motors running. IWNRX know they have to go for the rollout sooner rather than later. Duque trying to hold the angle, doesn't find Kine, and they step up for it. Frozen finds that final shot, and that is GetSoRoy's forward position done for. There's only one more player left for them to stand, and Kite is off in the distance over towards Incilio. You can see him just in the background there. Swain gets the roll forwards, and IWNRX once more have a foothold here, looking to pick up both of these 2 points.
Yeah, one of these points is not their own in Porsche, but the double roll down coming through from Swain will pick up some more of those points for them. That should sit them on 6, but only up to 5 now. GetSoRoy still off in the distance. That's Tiamba taking a lot of shots as Voindonkey continue to seek out more numbers on the tally of the game. They know they've got a strong position. Now to start to extract some value from this one. Some resources they can start to work forward with. 33 points yesterday wasn't amazing, but this is their last day to put up those points. They need several good games.
Voindonkey ID trying to hold off Tiamba. And only one player to handle. It's going to be more than enough firepower to do it. 5 teams now remain blank. 6 elims up for Voindonkey ID. IWNRX with 5. I think these 2 teams right now counterposed on either side of the road. The Incilio position, I really liked that flex out, right? They had so much info on the west side. They knew they could leave one player, flex out third party, and fold back without losing control of this western side. They've read this circle very, very well. And I was looking at them as a team that was one of my most improved from their group. I'm happy to see that they are still playing smart here into the survival stage.
Yeah, they definitely haven't done badly. And I think that when you look at Incilio, it's some of those rotations, some of their positioning on the map that did assist them a lot of times. The team fight still wasn't fantastic, but in terms of positioning, in terms of those off angles they're able to pull through, that certainly does keep them in the running. Swain, incredibly low there. Gets very close to at least one of them. But there's a shot from the side coming through from Razor.
Able to find an off angle against Incilio. That's a really big opening. Voindonkey ID able to confirm on that elim as well. Put themselves now at 7 as 4 teams remain. The last player from GetSoRoy does go down. That actually... Oh, wait. Hang on a minute. No, they're still in. Who went down there? That was Magnum from 77. The rollout. Car steps up. Looks for the spray down. They know his position now. Swain under pressure. Zedwolf on the back lines. Not taking shots just yet. Car hits the deck once more. So that info gained, not really going to be super valuable. Zedwolf doesn't have the angle. Frozen back in for round 2 on the roll downs, but the nades are going to start to come on over as well from Incilio, from IWNRX. Everybody's out for blood on it, but the nade over from Vexy. Yeah. He's moved out to the road.
Vexy doing unreal work, and Car right now planted with deep roots for GetSoRoy. Unable to remove him just yet and chop down that oak that is sitting strong over towards the western edge. Voindonkey, though, they don't want to push the issue too much. They back it off just a little bit. They know that IWNRX is not in a great position considering the circle moves away from them. They need to place a little bit more attention over towards Incilio on their northern side.
Finally, IWNRX getting that pickup onto Car. That gives them a little bit more leeway to roll straight up to Incilio. But Voindonkey will make that hard with Vexy, Potato, Razor all on that angle. Looking to drop nades, but the smoke train's there. IWNRX trying to gather some info now. They spotted a player or 2 actually by the tree. Wonder if they know they're both there. How much utility have they got? Kine has got 6 nades as Westron tries to find the strafe spray across that rotate.
Westron, nades going out. 4 in total at the moment. It is back and forth right now. Voindonkey have done a very good job to isolate this fight over towards the western side between IWNRX as well as Incilio. There goes the first. But it is back and forth right now, John.
Voindonkey ID chiming in with a nade over the top. IWNRX don't go down to it, but the second one as well. Oh, it's dangerous coming through from the opposing side. That is the blast away. And Incilio taken down to 1 player. They only have the off angle on Voindonkey ID's side of the road. I wonder if Voindonkey are aware of this. It doesn't look like they've dealt with it just yet. but perhaps those nades are going to find what they're looking for. Swain can get rezzed here, and now IWNRX have pure control on the southwest side.
8 elims for IWNRX, a really good game for them. Considering they came off the back of a 0 eliminer there over on Sanhok, this is going to really support their point standings. The second place, absolutely needed for them. They'd be very unhappy with a third if Incilio lives out longer than them. That's why they're sending nades over towards his way so much. They know his position. He has to be behind this tree. I think there's only one nade on the side of IWNRX, so it better be a good one.
Oh, they send it over, goes short of the tree. I mean, Voindonkey ID have a vested interest in keeping that position alive. It suppresses IWNRX so much. It stops them from getting up to the roadside and taking shots, being more concerned about their side of the road. They can just wait this one out a little bit longer. They are slightly closer to the middle, and IWNRX have to go up that long hillside towards them.
Swain look to push out now. There is a nade in the hand of STM. With his side swipe should do the trick, I imagine, from Swain as he zigzags up towards the hovercraft.
Oh, okay. There's a pick, a knock. Voindonkey ID, an opening now for them to move over the top of the road. Swain goes down again. Frozen looking to move forward to protect, but I don't think they're going to look for this res. I think they're just going to try and play against as3. But they have got that little trait, that little bit of cover to try and play around. No more nades. The smokes are running dry. Voindonkey ID, they let the opportunity pass and allow Swain to get rezzed.
It's not great. Kine's been holding a really good angle for them over on the eastern edge, preventing Voindonkey from making a wild rotate. They are playing very passive. Both teams fairly equal in eliminations, 8 to 9 here, but a chicken dinner either side would sit themselves very happy. It would push Voindonkey ID up towards a 50-point margin off the back of this game, John.
That would definitely feel good to put that up in an early game. A roll across the road from Zeta. I've got to call that completely wild and maybe a misplay. Maybe they didn't have too many more opportunities. They're trying to bait those peaks out and get the trades from the far side of the road, but the damage is just not there for Voindonkey ID and IWNRX, all too happy to put 4 more on the tally. Take that chicken dinner down. That's 13 elims, 10 points, a 23-pointer. They come out the gate swinging off a 0-point Sanhok into the top spot.
Yeah, you would get a comeback coming off the back of that one. I mean, for IWNRX, they are a very, very good team. Sometimes it takes them a little while to get rolling, but it's nice to see them do it here on game 2. So important for both them as well as Voindonkey ID.
Oh man, Hot Jukes, if they won, maybe we'd get the answer to the nails that you were searching for this entire time. But the answer we got was IWNRX. Turkey is still here to play as Frozen, Swain, and Co. able to get themselves a much-needed victory to give them a little bit of buffer here to stay out of that bottom 8.
Yeah, maybe the nail is the reason why he couldn't let off the gas pedal on that one with that buggy push. That was pretty wild to see there. But IWNRX getting a chicken dinner off the rip. I mean, this is a team that we all expected to perform like really, really well. I was shocked to even see them, you know, relegated down to this stage. But look at the way that they held this terrain, Max. I mean, we were kind of talking in the back line. I think Voin played this way too passive. I think they were trying to let the blue zone do all the work for them. But once they got those knocks earlier on, they should have just sent it, at least in my opinion.
I would say IWNRX understood the main issue for them was 3TN, but the moment 3TN knocked one of the players of IWNRX, Hodges, I think that's the moment you're referring to, we should have seen Voin like, oh, we're crossing, we're sending it right now, we are taking this 4v3 fight, Zeta getting the car, 2 players push over the road. That would have been, I think, their one best opportunity to snatch away that chicken dinner from the claws of IWNRX, because we were seeing the ridge line, right, Hodgix? The way it was centering on top of the road, purely in terms of terrain advantage, it was going in favor of IWNRX with that ridge. They could abuse it with third-person perspective. But unfortunately, as you said, Voin a little bit too slow, and that did cost them the win at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, cost them the win, but at the end of the day, they're still looking pretty healthy to get them through into last chance. But I think the main focus is on we need to see teams. But yeah, getting into last chance is great and all, but it goes from 16 down to 6 from there on if you want to get to the grand finals. So we need to see teams just really get every single point they possibly can, really, I'd say, kind of figure out and fix up some play. But one team I did want to talk about that you kind of mentioned, we're watching Max, Falcons. You were talking about like the push. You were saying, in your opinion, was a little bit too late onto IWNRX.
It was way too late. They should have done it like 2 circles before they got eliminated, Jason. They were playing the southern eastern side of the circle. There's a good little high ground, which is great for information gathering, which means they knew where Getoroy were, they knew where IWNRX were in that compound. The thing is, the circle kept shifting away from them, and the more you delay it, the more closely packed teams are going to be, and the more angles are going to be looking your direction to shut you down the moment you decide to commit to the transition. I really believe if Falcons did that breach on IWNRX 2 circles ago, maybe they get third party. We never know. But the more you delay it, as I said, just teams are going to absolutely laser you down. And I think Hodgix, the moment they start to rotate downhill in the cars, 5-10 seconds and the whole squad is like gone. It took way too long.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate there. I mean, but at the same time, you know, we're looking at all different plays here, and with Falcons, I think they were kind of feeling themselves after that last Sandhawk match, you know, especially the way 2 of their players played. So I don't mind them taking some of those risks, you know. Oh yeah, that push right there. Doc, I was like, oh, Doc's back, baby, and then boom, just gone by IWNRX, like almost instantly.
Yeah, D+K, like, now third party? I did just clear the entire dip in the fields. It was a great fight because, to be honest, when you had this I8 4MV D+K fight, the team that was at that point in the worst situation was technically D+K because they were further away from the circle. They were forced to fight, but actually I8 coming in, taking the attention of 4MV, kind of saved D+K. And it just turned it on its head and re-engaged that whole fight, and they're now able to get a bunch of eliminations, survive a bit longer into the game. So D+K made the best out of a really, really bad situation and actually ended up being on top, which is why they were, you know, first place before we started the day.
Well, we can see here 21 points picked up for IWNRX. Voign's still getting themselves 14 points. And Celio, who's been, I mean, consistently in towards the later stages of the game, thinking back to Ruins where they did lose out to Falcons in the last match. Even FaZe getting 7 points on there as well. But I did want to ask, though, the buggy play at Azeta at the end. I was curious if you guys had any thoughts or opinions on whether that was a smart or not so smart play.
I mean, I think it was okay when one of the players was knocked from IWNRX, you know, because then at that point you just overwhelm them with your numbers advantage. But I mean, the fact that he decided to do it when they were completely all set up and ready, I mean, it was such a coin toss play, right? I mean, you're hoping you kind of get that run over and open things up for your team, but I mean, there's so many better ways I think you could do that, Max, especially considering, you know, like the stakes of this. So I mean, I appreciate it, but it was pretty wild.
I don't know if I appreciate it because I think the idea maybe behind the buggy play was a good idea. My intention behind it, I thought, was that they were going to send the buggy like over, try and take some of the attention away from the rest of the team on Voin, and then they would cross, but they all stayed on their side of the road while Zeta just sent it with the buggy, and that confused me a bit. I thought they would really capitalize on the attention shifting away from the rest of the team to make that cross, but they just stayed idle. And as we saw, the fact that they also eliminated 3TN and still had so many nades made that hold for IWNRX just so much easier.
Well, and also, I mean, I guess we'll get back to my point after we take a look at our overalls. We're going to see some slight changes. Regnipar able to get up to 3rd place, 77 as well, currently in 5th. A 3-way tie for 3rd place here at 56 points, funny enough. But you see Void, 8th place, 44 points. Like we're saying again, that the cutoff's going to be from last year was around 50 to 60 points. That's kind of what we're expecting. With the pace that they're currently going at, it looks like they're going to be relatively safe. Not to mention D Xavier, Major Pride. I mean, they're not even participating today because they'll be coming up tomorrow for Group Yellow. We're starting to be able to lock in some teams here, gentlemen, and I'm not sure, you know, where you put the kind of cutoff of teams at the moment.
I put it around that mark. I think about 55 points. You should be feeling pretty chill at this point, because I mean, we're gonna look at the next page, and that's where all of our attentions are gonna be at, guys. Because again, it is bottom 8 that are gonna be out of here, right? So FaZe are just right there on that cusp, but they just started today, so that's not too bad, right? The real eyes are gonna be on that group green right now. I'm trying to look at the leaderboards here. There are some names from Group Green that I am a little bit worried about. I'm not worried about Void Donkey after that last game. That's pretty good. But my question is,
4MV Stalwart?
Yeah, 4MV, dude. I think 4MV is a team that really need to get it going here, especially on Aaron Gale today.
Yep, Stalwart too. Like they are all kind of in a really, really tough spot right now. They need to make sure they can wrap up the day properly because, I mean, yeah, otherwise reaching that 50-point barrier to make it to the last chances is not 100% secured. But as we head on even lower in the rankings, of course, a lot of the teams here are going to be teams that started today for their group for the very first time in survival state. But Vampire are tied for last place. And man, if they're watching, I'm sure they're watching the broadcast right now, Jason, their moral must be at like rock bottom.
I mean, they knew this was going to happen though, right? Like after that day, they were like, oh, we need to go
we're toast.
Nuts tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, I know, was it Sertani? He, posted on Instagram yesterday, just with the text basically saying shattered after their performance. And I wanted to say what the song name was, but I won't do that actually. And I told him like bounce back tomorrow. And all he gave me was like, ha ha ha, such a really bad day. And I feel like they've been in situations like this before. It's obviously, I think, a big hit to the morale, as you're saying, Max, of like having only 3 points on a day where you need to just be top 16 to get into last chance. It's going to be tough, but I think for Vampire, we'll see the true grit of the team. We'll see what they're really about if they come back tomorrow and really bounce back and show, no, we're here, we're deserving to be, and we're going to get into last chance and potentially the grand finals.
They did in Jakarta. I mentioned it yesterday, right? They did one of the biggest PMGC comebacks I think I've ever witnessed in like all the seasons we've ever had so far. And they could do it again. I mean, this is currently the same team. They're looking extra solid when they are on their A game. It's just we didn't see that yesterday, but no, we're not going to focus too much on them yesterday. We know they're going to be last place today, Jason, but no, the thing is, what's going to be the next step? That is going to be the big question heading into tomorrow's matches for Vampire.
I'm actually kind of excited because, like, let's be real. Like, if they were to make it, like, even just past that 8th place, I don't care if they're just, like, right there at that cutoff. If they make it, it will be, like, probably one of the biggest comebacks we've ever seen in PUBG Mobile Esports. Am I wrong?
You mean make it to the last chance or make it to grand finals?
Make it to last chance at this point. I mean, that is the worst day I've ever
finals,
seen.
Yeah. But last chance, I would say no. But if they make it to finals after their performance yesterday, yeah, definitely one of the biggest like comebacks to qualify for the grand finals itself, for sure.
It's just, just really trying to put it into the Vampire arc here, really trying to like build us up like, oh, we're down, oh, we're looking horrible. And then boom, tomorrow they show up, massive play, they get to grand finals, they win PMGC, the first ever title by a Thailand team. No, that'd be cool to see, to be honest, because there's obviously been a lot of criticisms around Vampire, and if they can do well or win events that are outside invitationals, which obviously PMGC, this is the most stacked global championship that we've had ever. But I feel like that's something we're going to be repeating quite often. But if I can quickly bounce it back to the game, Max, man, I wanted to bring this topic up before, and you were talking about when we head into, I think it was around stage 7, we had Voin push themselves in towards the zone where they inevitably did play from, up against IWNRX. But Vexy, you were talking about being in a really pivotal position for preventing any team from rotating and kind of like backstabbing them.
He was very important to make sure the team at least got to 2nd place, Jason. So he was very important because he was playing a bit more southern compared to the rest of the team, even being willing to not play in the circle, just to make 100% sure IWNRX did not have the option to cross the road and snatch away the position of Voin before fighting versus Incilio. Like, Vexy, I think, locked in the opportunity for them to go for 2nd place, even maybe get the win if the circle was a little bit nicer to them. So Vexy, great plays, and because of that, it actually forced all of IWNRX to seek another option, and that option was to fight Incilio, which gave then an easy 2nd place to Voin because they didn't have to fight for that engagement. They didn't have to fight for that position. So yeah, Vexy, I think, or whoever was, calling the shots for Vexy to be there, had a great understanding of their weakness in that kind of terrain and make sure they had it 100% locked down.
Okay, well, if we also look back at, I8, Hachi, you talked about I8, you talked about Team KSO and their change up and drop locations. How do you feel like those kind of netted the play overall? And obviously those two teams didn't make it later into the game. I feel like maybe for I8, that's probably one of the biggest moves. Then again, playing for the extremities isn't too unfamiliar for a team like them who normally would drop in military.
Yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate thing for both these squads is they played so early in the group stage that they've had a lot of time off. You know what I'm saying? And they're coming into this pretty dang cold. So they got to start heating things up pretty quickly because, I mean, we're already 2 matches down here. Team Castle, only a handful of points so far. So they're definitely not performing the way they are. I mean, as far as rotations go, they're not too out of the ordinary. I'm not seeing, like, Team Castle really drag when it comes to, like, their Pachinki drop. but right now they're just losing pretty easy fights. So I think once they kind of get those fingers warmed up, I'll give them a pass for these first 2 games. But going forward, I mean, it's got to be pedal to the metal.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, actually, they kind of did that this game. Looking at Team Kesso, not only their drop in Pachinki, but also the way they're rotated. They had a big phase 2 northern shift. They sent it through, I'm talking like 6, 7 teams, and then they crashed into I8. Like, that was a Hail Mary push when a lot of teams were like Getsuroy, Stalwart, 4MV, Incilio were trying to go for these wide east or western rotates. They were like, screw that, dead center through like 6, 7 teams all at once, and those are desperate plays, Jason. It's very surprising to see, like, in the second match of the day. That's like, that's very desperate. It's almost like you're trying to make it barely into last chance, and it's the last game of the survival stage. It's very surprising, but I mean, as we've seen, unfortunately for them, it did not work out. So maybe just spend a bit more time to think about what rotate you want to pull off, because that was not the play.
Okay, I mean, obviously still have 2 more Erangels left to go, and I kind of feel bad for I8. I mean, it's only been 2 matches, so, you know, obviously I won't judge them too harshly, but I feel like we've been talking about Falik and being this like star player for I8, the star player in Pakistan. In my opinion, I mean, he's hands down better than Crypto, at least from what we've seen in just the fall season alone. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen them unlock Falik too much yet in the survival stage, but thinking back to group, we definitely saw I8, you know, performing extremely well. I'm hoping for I8 and obviously for all the Pakistani fans out there that they do find their groove here, because I feel like it would be a shame to not have them make it to last chance. When it comes to getting to grand finals, I think that's going to be a different point of discussion, because there's only 6 slots left and there's so many teams deserving to get there. But we know I8 to be an extremely strong team. But to pop off in a lobby that's, I would say, more difficult than in group stage for them, I don't know if they're going to be able to do so with such limited kind of experience.
That's going to be so difficult, man. I mean, I don't know what to say here, because it's like there's so many monster squads that I want to see make it on over to the next stage. I mean, I8's definitely one of them. You got Team Falcons, though. You got IWNRX, you know.
So many names you want to see make it, but you can't have them all.
Yes, you can't have them all, and that's just the name of the game here. So, like, you can't, you know, waste any time. If you have an opportunity to take some risk, I think at this stage you got to take it. I mean, sometimes playing safe works out pretty good, but if you have that 50-50 coin flip, kind of go on the edge of aggression, because it seems to be paying off pretty big here, Max.
Yeah, it's working out to some extent. I feel like you're going to have some teams be very desperate. I don't think IA has to be, because against their like first 8 currently, but it's going to be a tough one, man, and we're going to have some big upsets as we get deeper into survival stage and then the last chance.
Oh man, yeah, at the end of the day, I think we can almost start to count out some teams as well, as we're going to find out what will happen here in our second Erangel of the day. Obviously still one more to come after this as we head back to Zohnny A and Blanky B.
Thank you very much once again, JCK. We're going to head on into Erangel for our second go over the grassy pastures, match 8 of our 18-match set. Each of our teams only playing 12 of them each, so a very short stint for everybody in the survival stages. Playing path from Sosnovka military base. Are we going to see ASI at return? Try and contest 4MV, or are they going to stick to that Zohnny drop as we probably expect them to be going for here? 4MV will be out early. ASI 8, no, they're not going to be there. It's northwest lean on the plane path. They'll end up in Georgepol.
Yeah, I think ASIA at this point in time, especially with the games they've had, sticking to a more safe drop over towards Zohnny is the right call at this point. 4MV will be hitting up Sosnovka military base, but Falcons over towards Nova Apnoya, back to the past. This really is a blast from the past. Haven't seen Falcons drop over towards this location in quite some time, but they know exactly how to play it. They've played it multiple times over past years. And IWNRX are going to try head over towards Ferry Pier off the back of this one. Voin Donkey, very close by though, likely going to head towards Primorsk. Great game from them last time around, but IWNRX do sneak away that pick off over towards them, picking up the chicken dinner, and Voin Donkey will have to play a little bit harder to get towards the top side of the lobby.
They have already, though, put up quite a few points blank, and that may have been enough already to just give them that low point scoring necessity over the next 4 matches that they've got left to play. We may just see a couple of early scraps, then trying to get an early Elim point or 2. Get the value out of it. D+ Kier taking shots into the sky as RCB sail overhead. Not going to be able to connect, though. The Iron Sight AKM, Osel hops in. Pickups arrived, and Osel will move away with Nolbu as the driver.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be hunting them down. I can't imagine they would. They'll probably want to head over towards that eastern side. Pick up apartments. That'll be a bad place to start things off. Chips is a little bit further down towards that south side. So we'll need to regroup with the rest of the team because this was leaning a little bit over towards the western edge, but we do get a northwest circle. Undefined whether it's going to be over towards the northern edge or the south side. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. 77 in Sunken. I have always been a little bit worried for 77 when they play this position in Sunken, especially in lobbies like this where it's always rotating. I think that they don't do extremely well predicting a lot of the rotates around this area, but they have been getting far into these games. So 56 points across the board, apparently, between the Vicious, RCB, and 77 right now, all tied up.
Yeah, and all of them looking fairly safe to be in towards the top 16, right? And it is just about those floor-type games. How many points can you get on a bad result? RCB, I think, what did they get? 6 on the last match? A couple on the match before. So they are just slowly moving along and making sure that they are going to maintain that position. D plus Kia still out in the lead, which is quite an interesting result. I mean, those 2 chicken dinners they were able to find yesterday, a massive benefit to them. Team Queso have not been so lucky today. I mean, we spoke to their coach earlier, right? And that, in general, seemed like they were trying to change up their playstyle. And I'm wondering if after these first 2 matches, how quickly do you readjust to a previous play style? Because at the moment, it doesn't seem like it's going too well. They are bleeding players. They have had a couple of difficult rotates, those Yazfield finishes and the cross rotate on Sandhawk, both not going super great for them. So maybe you give it 1 more game's breathing room before you try and revert to that old style.
I mean, you don't have long left, really.
Exactly.
You only got tomorrow to make up the points. And for Team Queso, I think almost when you have a 2-day stint, you somewhat have to stick to your guns, really. I don't think that there's a chance to revert to the old ways at this point. You just have to trust the process a little bit and try and push on from there. I mean, only second match. I mean, I don't want to say it. But it's better than Vampires so far.
It's true.
But I think that, yeah, there definitely needs to be a little bit of a change here coming from Team Queso, because I will say some of their rotates have been fairly wild and somewhat misinformed, and letting members get picked off 1 by 1 feels like kind of reminiscent of what we saw from Mirror and Sejong yesterday, where their focus was maybe over to the wrong things at times. Whereas they were making decent rotates to the start. It's like some of those rotates, yes, they were towards ideal locations. You've got to assume the team's going to be there, or at least have done some homework into what's going to be happening in terms of those rotates going towards the future. And that is always the difficulty going into survival stages, that you're not reading into 15 other squads, you're reading into 23.
It's so hard to keep all of that information locked away in the brain. So far, there's a couple of teams who are struggling, moving up towards the circle. No one taking casualties just yet. 4MV have left that military island. Uncontested, actually. IWNRX didn't go for the outpost position that we saw CAG Osaka cause so much trouble on for them on that south side. IWNRX not going to bridge camp. I think in IWNRX's group, they did have ASI8, who were that same team, and they were doing the same sort of thing, right? And just allowing them to get across that bridge uncontested, because they were prioritizing more getting a central position. I do wonder, though, if given the more elimination-focused style that's needed to get into top 16, if it would be more profitable in the long run to go for that bridge camp, try and pick up 2-3 eliminations early, and give yourself that platform to play for a low score needing game, especially off of a chicken dinner.
Yeah, especially off a chicken dinner, 100%. I will see if they're able to do that. But again, this is a lot of these question marks that have to be had inside this lobby, and it's really a question at this point in time of whether these teams have the performance to make it happen, because we are in survival stage right now. It is the hardest part of PMGC. I think Last Chance is actually easier. You have less teams to compete against in terms of rotations. You've already played against them. You have a little bit of knowledge on top of it. You have more days to work with too. Well, equal days, but it just feels a lot nicer being able to play against a more consistent lobby with a, let's say, an easier margin to aim for. Here it's just very undetermined. Like, what is 16th place going to look like going into tomorrow?
It is definitely going to be pretty nerve-wracking. I think mostly for the teams not playing in tomorrow's matches, right? That is going to be the worst scenario, I think, for Group Green. They will just have to sit back and watch as their positions drop and drop and drop and hope that it doesn't go past that devilish 16 mark. Every single player would dread to drop below it. But for now, I think there is but a few teams who are below that mark, right, from Group Green. And they will look to try and keep themselves tucked up towards the top of the tables.
RCB found themselves one pick-off, which sits them comfortably in third place now, ahead of the Vicious in 77 by 1. Vicious is taking damage, though, over on the north side. I think that's versus ASI8. As we get a hard shift on the circle over towards that northern edge. It's still on the boundary of the river, though, John, and that is troublesome for a lot of our squads.
There is really, really difficult ground to try and traverse. We've seen bridges and the positions around them, underneath them, be really important in circles like this, Blank. And I think that we're going to see probably Team Liquid taking up a bridge position. I wouldn't be surprised if Tianba maybe look for the east bridge over near Roshok. That central island, 77 currently hold it, but Team Liquid may actually try and poke their noses in towards it as well. As we hop back on over towards First Blood, that's RCB taking out a player from ASI8, and that will be the first point to be added, but it's over towards ASI8. And again, the team from Pakistan on that northern side having a really rough time to kick off.
Yeah, I mean, 3 points so far. ASI8 just not able to find these points. And I think in the past we really praised this team, but I think coming into survival stage, a lot of that ferocity seems to be gone from that squad. Whereas you look at a team like 4MV, who is playing their hearts out. I mean, they're still making similar mistakes, but you can tell that there is that fierce nature in this team to make it into that top 16 and get through to the last chance. They don't want to disappoint their fans. Uzum does pick up Mormon on the roll down. In the meantime, IC will take a fall as well on Falcon's side. It's a nasty circle, to say the least. I mean, Tiamba currently have a nice rotate they can make over on the east. Similarly, FaZe as well as Getso Roy are rotating and making that wrap on the northwest.
FaZe, Getso Roy, both putting pressure on. ASI8 trying to keep things together, but with that fourth player out of action already, they're down to 3. Makes this hold harder. Finding Mormon, sure, it's a benefit, but Getso Roy can put pressure on too. And teams from the south, they're going to be aware of this, right? They're going to know that this is a little involved fight, which means that they have a little bit easier of a time moving on that south coast. The area around Ruins, though, not so easy to traverse. Roshok, also quite treacherous. In general, I hate this circle so much. It's terrible.
It's not fun to play. It really isn't. And a lot of teams are going to get cut off because of this. I do think making it a quick decision to head over towards that north side is not a bad idea at this point in time. Purely off the back that we know there isn't a lot of teams over there anyway, so you're not going to be rotating roughly past a lot of squads to get in, elbowing a lot of your opponents inside this lobby. Usually when looking towards the past, like the cutoff for top 16 has been around about 54 to 62, John. Which is
somewhere within that bracket.
Yeah, which is quite crazy considering right now some of our top squads in the lobby are on that number. But it does depend on how competitive these lobbies have been. And I do think that maybe we'll see something a little bit interesting here, considering it has been so close over the past 3 groups.
And now, with D+ Kia probably having already done enough to get themselves into the last chance stretch. We'll see if they can do a little bit more from the southeast side. IWNRX also posting up their big game, 21 points. They didn't manage to get all of the elims, it seems, from that last, like the last little scrap with Voindonkey ID. But they'll still be happy with a 21-pointer. That'll make up for their 0-pointer, putting them on a 10.5 average, which is definitely enough to see yourself towards the top side of the tables in 14th place right now. Voindonkey ID getting into this little compound to the northwest of that ruined castle. And with a circle splitting again across this river, it is nasty. D+ Kia, hey, look at that. They managed to find a lot of the players from Incilia.
Yeah, you're probably looking at, more than likely, it's going to be a island finish, funnily enough. Dot goes down. What's new? Before MV. D+ will find Fashion. That's 4 elims. So let's say someone's 69 points. And I think, you know, if I look at D+, they get 75 points today or more. That's it. They're done. But 75 points, I think that's a safe margin to look at as, like, we're in at that point in time. I think when you look at 65 to 70, it's like, ooh, it's a bit iffy. But you've most likely made it.
Well, I mean, you'll take that if you can get it. It's better than nothing, but teams will start to keep that boundary pushing, and we'll see how much further everyone can go. Stretch their legs towards the top now. 4MV trying to get some oversight into Doc's position, but they're definitely not going back up north to get that pickup. Surely they're not going back up to get that pickup. Baron's going out to get that pickup.
He's going. I mean, go for it, I guess.
Gets a Roy just allow it, seemingly.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why they've allowed it, but they have. And now Tiamba standing over the top side. Bond takes down one. Porsche up front. That's the close the car door on Tiamba's push. Head over towards this southwest side. Goodness me, I mean, QZ going down is not great, and Bond being extremely low. This is an opportunity for Getzeroy to get back into the mix.
There's the flank out from Getzeroy. The shot down from the back rope towards Tiamba. A 4MV going to go further in and try and third party. This one, Baron sends further forwards after the pickup with Doc. Out goes Tiamba, but Getzeroy in danger still. No, 4MV do fold back and don't go completely balls to walls, and that is still such a crazy flex out. I guess Getzeroy had bigger fish to fry over on that northern side, as ASI8 may just be into the fire themselves. FaZe Clan on the northeast side able to sweep them aside. Mela is knocked but can get rezzed. Unfortunately, the Vicious are here to play too.
Yeah, only Noki remaining, and Voindonkey ID with a wonderful spot right now in Ruins. Incredibly happy they held on to this one. It's such an unfortunate circle. This is not the kind of circle you want to see going into survival stage, because a lot of times, sadly, this is a coin flip in terms of where is this circle going to go. It's even less than a coin flip. It's not even a 50-50 chance, because you've got the island, you've got Rozok, you've got north side, you head towards the sandbags. It's very, very tough. So it's very much just a gamble on the table of which location you're going to go all in on. And Voindonkey, they get somewhat lucky, but they did make a pretty big rotate over this way in the first place. But I'd be excited to see Voindonkey get another good game here, because if they do, then yeah, I think we can pretty much call them safe.
Ooh, Silas stands his ground as FaZe rock up to play. Has the backup from his team as well. Was caught on a broadside, but opened fire back. FaZe pushed aside. Venturis trying to shelter underneath the archers here. Stage 4, this is where the bridge plays start to become a lot stronger. And you can see RCB, they've got control of probably the most prominent bridge position in this circle, counterposing Voindonkey's compound position and Stalwart's high ground castle area that they have under control. This southeast approach is so tough now. It's completely compacted full of teams.
There's not many locations you can get in from, which is why you see RCB here opting for a bit more of a passive. What did I just look at? A bit more of a passive, like a seal underwater spinning. But yeah, RCB, it's really caught me off guard.
It's okay. He's just rotating, you know?
Okay. It happened for such a split second that I don't even know. If I'm going crazy, am I going crazy?
Yeah, probably. But why not? Just getting into the survival stage. Plenty of players going crazy here because Limbo Boom goes down next at 77 to try and keep things going against Falcons, who had a big pop-off game to start things off. They were able to get a decent conversion as well, and Top wants even more. Will be able to pick up 1-2 eliminations, but will go down to Magnum finally. That is so unfortunate. The timing for Magnum, if he'd gotten Top out earlier, would have been able to get the full reset of the Southeast, because as it stands, it's only the two of them to carry on going. RCB in a similar situation, with the Vicious bearing down upon them. The knock across the river, and Loxy goes down next. It's one player now for RCB.
The Vicious heads in. RCB, potential at a full reset here, but the way things are looking, it's not looking great for them. And you get more spinning underneath this water that potentially propel themselves towards a better location inside the lobby. Good pick off though from Silas. Once again, marshalling the squad here for RCB. And they are heading across. There's potential for those underwater pickups. When Bruno's in, far more distracted here. This might be a good time for RCB to start to mend, repair the squad.
Both teams taking a breath. But out they go. There's a nade from David straight away. This is a pretty decent read. If they get caught, RCB are out. An immediate nade over the top doesn't actually get any knocks, but the health bars are blinking. They are low, and these reses need to come through fast. The Vicious moving down low also. They've managed to get 3 people back to their feet, and there's that final res starting to come on through. Loxy, they're just leaving it down. The nade over the top finds Silas, and now it's Wild and Kimez trying to keep themselves alive. The spray down is good. The nade over the top from Wild slows it, yet another beat, but Wild has to retreat, and he is going to get caught, clipped on the fallback there, and Reyes able to give themselves another opening. It immediately tags that res. David's so grateful for this one.
Almost goes out. I will explain it afterwards. We'll watch the conclusion of this one. Another one from Kimmins goes through. A lot of damage. Doesn't take down Bruno's in, but Kimmins will find a great shot over towards him. Another nade goes through. It's a little bit short here. I'd be so frustrated if I was Silas, though. A couple of things that goes into it. Nice nade, a lot of damage done. I think RCB, it might just be curtains. Loxy realizes he's done for, just needs to send this nade in. Hopefully gets a bit of damage. Hits Bruno's in, gets Reyes as well. Only one player remaining now for the Vicious. One more nade would do the trick. It's a little bit long there from Loxy.
Loxy's just on such a tiny bit of cover. That bridge brace just about keeping him safe from the off angles. Finally jumps down into the river there. ASA 8, they're already out and into the water. Trying to hold on out there. Does get a little bit of healing start to tick up. Loxy with those stims and those bandages. Dribs and drabs back into the health bar, and thank God he did. Sliver left, and that's all he needed to stay alive for just a moment longer.
So IWRX taking a fight with D+. The reason it's so annoying for Silas is because the Vicious sends 4 nades over the top towards a long shot location. They know they're underneath the bridge. All 4 nades miss, yet they send a 5th. Silas takes the opportunity to move out that way because he's like, surely they won't nade this position again. They've got absolutely no value off the past 4. But yeah, he goes down to it. I thought it was a good play from Silas as well, but it's just a case of the Vicious being somewhat insane.
And it works out for them. 3 players versus 3. Loxy spots 2, rolling up, and he handles both of them. Immediately rebuffed. Silas was there as well for the crossfire. And now with Reyes not finding any answer, the Vicious are going to be cut out of this circle. Has to try and mount an offensive now. Find any sort of opening, but might just deny the point here under the bridge. Has the smoke to play around, and RCB have got to know. In the meantime, D+, they've rolled on through IWNRX on the far side of the circle. Reyes still wants to go in for this one. Does have a little opportunity here, but the off angles rain bullets down on towards him, in the final pump action from Kimmez, able to seal the deal. The Vicious out. Finally a conclusion to the bridge side struggle.
Yeah, hella dangerous play there from Kimmez, but every elimination counts this stage of the game. 56 on the 7 elim games here they've got as well. Will sit them nicely above 60 points. And I think RCB might just be safe off that engagement between them as well as the Vicious. What a weird fight and a frustrating fight for RCB. big respect to Silas there, but yeah, no one expects the 5th grenade. No one.
But what about the 6th grenade? I don't know who's shame on who for that one, but we'll keep track if it happens again. 4MV. With that coastline, they've lost Doc and Reefus, but they had to cross back from that northern side. 6 elims, and again, a decent game, but it's 9 elims for D+, 8 for RCB. We're seeing some pretty hefty tallies towards the top of the tables here, Blank. 4MV want to join them.
Yeah, 4MV definitely getting up there. They've been having good averages per game. This is all you really need. 4MV. Yeah, this is their last day of play, so time is against them going forward. Great steps coming through from RCB as they just waltz through the lobby, likely to go down soon. They are on an island by themselves. No hope at taking some back here, strapping it into a rope and catching yourself a turtle ride to safety.
Silas found they're on the long side of the circle as well. 4MV will be pushed off this angle, but nah, it's just not going to work out. RCB, last player now to stand. I think that's Loxy on the back line. But just so little opportunity to do anything here. Can't move south. Stalwart have him covered. Can't move west. These coastal positions have it. 4MV gonna take a back step there and wait it out. Into the water they go. Osel getting spotted. There's Voindonkey ID starting to break cover now. And a nice nade over towards Nolbu. The player doing the majority of the heavy lifting on this D+ Kia roster so far in the survival stages. The guy's stats are insane. But for now, he's down on bended knee as Chips to try and keep it together. For the South Koreans, there's 3 players from Voindonkey ID trying to move through for Indonesia.
Voindonkey ID need a little bit more. Only 46 points. Need to break that 50-point barrier soon. 3 more matches to do it in. The Razor getting taken down by Chips, unfortunate, but a nice nade over the top will finish off the job. The D+, I think that they've made it. I think that they've made it with 74 points. They are very safe going forward. Highly unlikely they'll drop out of the top 16. The Voindonkey, they want to go a little bit further. 77 also getting 4 points here, so we might have just seen a confirmation on potentially 3 of our teams going into the last chance there with RCB 77 as well as D+. I think the Vicious maybe needs a few more points and then they can happily call themselves safe as well.
For now in this circle though, Blank, I'm looking at Team Queso. This is their opportunity, but they've only got 1 elimination. If they can get a chicken dinner out of this, they are back in the running. But it's difficult against this stalwart position. I mean, look at the high ground split they've got. This is just such a classic 2-2 split on this area. Nobody's been able to take them off. From the west side, I'm surprised that they haven't had to regroup, actually. All of that fighting between IWNRX and D+ Kia, it all kicked off around that zone, but they were able to keep their 2 split out on that west edge. A really nice hold for them. IWNRX going down, by the way, with 0 points. So statistically, they either get 21 points or 0 points every match.
I thought they got 23 points, actually.
I did too, but I imagine that they didn't get all of the elims in the final circle against Voindonkey ID with that roll-up. They might have had a few go down to the play zone. Voindonkey ID not going down to the play zone here. That west side hold on the 2-2 split for Stalwart. Looking to add more to the tally.
Voindonkey ID right now is about placements. They are getting a top 5 here. 4th place or better would be nice, and there you have it. Voindonkey ID. Look at the health bars on the top of the screen. Dear me, Zeta last left remaining here. Team Queso taking 2 knocks, John. That is a big deal.
Going low and more damage pelted their way. Magnum with the shotgun.
That's 2 players, by the way, taking on Team Queso.
From the back line, 77 making their insurgency from the southeast side. That is really rough. The backlines of Team Queso getting dismantled there. Shifu trying to stay alive will be able to do so. And being the outside flank, 77 looking to confirm their spot into the last chance as well. Shifu breaking back over towards Magnum. Team Queso under pressure, but Stalwart is still split. They're trying to regroup. to push more central.
Yeah, this has just been a complete partisan play versus Team Queso coming through from 77 in the back lines. 2 players taking down multiple from Team Queso. It should have been a Team Queso win. Realistically, they had a really strong spot. Obviously, Stalwart do control a lot of this high ground, but Team Queso could have easily played out into that late game. 100% surely second place. Zeta could step up, spots the angle, does a lot of damage over those feelers, and gets the knock. This is huge, dude.
That takes one of the most important angles off of Stalwart. What a spoiler shot down there, and gets that flush as well.
That is nuts. I mean, I don't think he got the flush, but either way, there's now no one to challenge him, and Critter has to move off that location. Suddenly, he becomes a much bigger threat in the eyes of Stalwart. He's just one dude, guys.
Not only that, not only is he an increased threat, but he's also reduced the sightlines under control for Stalwart. Before, they had cover on that archway over towards Team Queso, over towards the runouts on 77, but now they don't have that. They have to spread themselves so much more thin, and that's going to allow Team Queso to maybe come back into this fight. 77 to sweep through. Everything's changed off the back of that pick.
He's fully stimmed out of his mind as well. Out about 8 energy drinks, so the heart's pumping, the adrenaline's thumping. Let's see what Zeta can get done. What a wild play. Good to see, though. Yeah, I think 77 done fantastic work between Shifu and Magnum here. Like, this is a survival defining game, or this is going to see them safe much earlier than they expected.
Happy Potro. Oh, he's spotted the push forwards from Stalwart. And Team Queso going down 4th here. They just have not got the value they need.
Yeah, not good. Not good at all. Octagui, 9 nades, by the way.
Okay.
He's got a whole ordnance behind him, and that's Team Queso out. Shifu finds another up to 8 eliminations. Stalwart with 10. How has this happened? Zeta has to make a run out at this point, but will be taken down. But in 3rd place for Void Donkey, Zeta did incredibly well. Great spray for the smoke from Octagui. This guy has been insane on Stalwart so far. And to finish off, onto 77, and it will be Stalwart with 12 eliminations. A 22-point game to finish things off. Really well done to Stalwart, and that will shoot them up the rankings.
A 2-2 split on the Ruins position for Stalwart. Ruins the rest of everyone's day here in match 3 on the day. Match 9 on the survival stages. That is such an important match for them as well, to keep themselves up towards the top side of the tables, to put themselves in towards the top bracket along with some of the strongest teams. I think they came into today one of the lowest scoring teams from their group, but now they should sit nice and happy towards a potential last chance qual spot.
Bro, I don't know why I started with bro. I wish everyone out there could hear the conversation we were having while watching this game, because you had Hot Jukes on one side, Maxima on the other, and I swear I had to get between them before the fisticuffs came out, as they were both discussing who should win this match. Now, I kind of want to jump into this conversation because I thought it was very interesting hearing like 2 different points of this. So Hot Jukes, you were favoring Team Queso to win this game, and Max, you were leaning more towards Stalwart. So Hot Jukes, I want you to go first and explain like why in your eyes Team Queso should have been the team to win in this.
Castle sucks, dude. All right, I said it. All right, Castle sucks. Okay, like it is like one of the worst positions. I know some people be like, oh no, in a zone like that, you gotta go Castle, but it's so exploitable from so many different angles. And Team Queso, in my opinion, the best location, right? Don't do anything. They just sit still and like, hey, we're totally fine with just getting high placement points at this point. It is wild to see. And then Stalwart had all the freedom in the world to just run down after Fearless makes like the most ridiculous bad play. I thought once I saw Fearless go down in that 1v1 against Void Donkey, I was like, Yo, Max, man, see what I tell you, bro? I was like, Castle's a curse. It's bad. Stalwart's gonna lose this one, and then Team Castle got naded in like 1 second, and they were gone.
If your analysis is all behind Castle is cursed, I'm sorry, that's not the kind of analysis I'm here for. Because I'm coming here with straight up facts that don't care about your feelings, Hodgins.
I beat everybody in Castle. You take Castle, you lose.
I've won so many games as Castle. What do you mean I've won so many games? Okay, no, like realistically, looking at this, I do have to highlight that Stalwart, I think, played extremely well this area of Castle/Ruins because there are 2 players in the Castle, and you said, Hodgins, there are some areas you can exploit of Castle, which is true. It's not a perfect area. It does have some weaknesses for teams that want to try and rock up there, but it is kind of assisted by the angle that Stalwart had in the church. Like that 2-2 split, I think, was absolutely amazing the way Stalwart played it. It's what you need to do in that scenario. The thing that Stalwart really had at the end in Phase 8 that made sure 100% of the time they win this game unless they fumble, which they almost did with Riley and Phyllis. That scared me a little bit, Hodgins, to be completely honest. But they had center control. All you have to do is hold your angles and wait for Zeta to push your way, for Team Kesso, for 77 to leave the ruins in the open and you eliminate them. That is all Stalwart had to do. And they even got a bit too aggressive in my eyes. They could have lost it, but yeah, they had center control. They just had to wait it out, and that was an easy chicken dinner for Stalwart to secure, in my opinion.
I mean, I can see it from both your sides. I swear, the discussion was much more heated. It's definitely more PG, more PC here on air. But obviously, that was a big talking point. But also, this is a big talking point we're seeing here. Regnum Carter, bro, up against Vicious on this mini island. That bridge fight lasted what felt like 3 zones between these 2 teams, where both teams were down to like 1 player apiece. And in the end, Regnum Carter, bro, does come out ahead.
Okay, Hodgins, can we bury the Hatchet of War right now?
Yeah, no, I was right.
Okay,
you're right.
That fight took too long.
Oh, they're way too long.
It took way too long between RCB and Vicious. I think it was a really good idea from Regnum Carter to send it down under the bridge. I think that was a great idea, just becoming the bridge goblins of this game. But Vicious should not have gotten that many knocks on RCB in the first place. I have no idea how the hell they hit those, but the shots were crazy coming out from that squad. And then when they arrive to the bridge and they get those 3 knocks, they just kind of wait, Hodgins, and I think that a push should have happened at that point.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's so crazy to just watch Vicious just pop out of the water and just get straight destroyed in like half a second there by RCB after all that work, but I mean, it's good that we're seeing Vicious still put up points, like kind of like no matter what. RCB, look at that, 8 eliminations, 9 points right there. These guys have definitely got to be happy. A Team Castle with 5, and they deserve it, dude. You see that last play? You see him just get beamed while just staring in a corner? I don't know. I hate to see it. There's only like 3 places you can leave Castle from. Just throw nades and pre-fire.
But they don't have infinite grenades. Yeah.
Well, 4MV comes out with 10 points. D+ with 11 themselves. 77 has been kind of like the silent killers here, up to 14 as well on this. And honestly, a lot of points going to a lot of different teams out here. Void, we've been kind of discussing them a lot lately. They get themselves 9 in the end of this. And then Falcons, we look down the list, 2 for them, I8 for 2, Vicious only getting 1, IWNRX getting 0. I mean, there's starting to be some teams to worry about here. I8 has had a very slow start to the day, Max, and I'm kind of getting worried for them. Obviously, they do have another day of matches to play tomorrow, but you don't want to be starting off like this.
Yeah, nope. You do not want to be in this kind of situation because it's going to be scary, man, going into your final day here, and it's going to be a tough time to make sure you are making into the top 16. Though, I do want to highlight, looking at Stalwart, I'm not going to go deep in analysis. We're not starting this conversation again. It's fine. But actually, it's really cool to see them do well because they were the last ranked team of their group. They were just behind 4MV, if I'm not mistaken, Hodgins. You mentioned it on the previous segment. So this game, actually, for them, is so important for them to be somewhat comfortable to make in top 16.
Absolutely. Bing, bang, boom. Top 6 place, baby. Yeah. They'll take that all day long. I mean, I'm telling you, Group Green is going crazy here because I was expecting to see at least, a couple teams way down on the leaderboards. But no, I mean, pretty much almost every single squad is in a pretty solid state here.
I mean, this makes you wonder, is it better to play in the last group of the league stage and go into survival or play in the starting group and go into survival? Because right now, Group Green, like if we're looking at some numbers that John threw our way, they're averaging like 33 limbs a match, Group Green, compared to 25 for Group Yellow and 20 for Group Red at the moment. Like, that's kind of crazy to see that Group Green has actually been the more dominating group so far in survival stage, considering, Max, we had Group Yellow as like the group of death, which obviously we're looking more towards the higher level teams, but Group Green definitely proved to be one of the more balanced groups in our 3.
Yeah, so far it's been working great. I mean, they've been the third party-ish group, you know, compared to the other groups that were like edge play or center play. And the third parties they've been able to pull off for a lot of those teams of Group Green have been so impactful in this lobby, just clearing space in a circle, getting a ton of eliminations off the back of those engages. So yeah, I mean, Group Green, the silent killers of this group of death right now in survival stage, and I'm impressed, Jason. It's really, again, our expectations are wrecked in this tournament, and it's fun to see.
So Jukes, you're saying, we've been saying this quite a few times, right?
Okay.
That day 3 is the real day 1 for these teams from China. What happens when there's no day 3 in that group to be played for Tiamba?
I don't know, dude. There's no Group 3. I don't know how Team Liquid's gonna do damage control here with only a couple Miramars left. It's wild, dude. I hate to see it. I mean, for these squads, because I mean, what is happening? I mean, it's so wild to see all these big names so far on the leaderboards. I mean, looking at Group Green alone, right now the lowest is 4MD with 46 points. And considering that they got a lot of games left here today, I mean, them and Team Liquid, if they pop off in these last 3 matches, I mean, we could see all of Group Green be solid.
Well, we need to see some teams pop off here. Well, we do have to head to a short break, but when we come back, we're going into the